All right. Hey, folks. Good morning. We are going to do some Saturday morning game prep, or I'm sorry, game design for Dungeons and Dragons 5.5, using Magic the Gathering as our core Magic system. So, for folks that aren't familiar with my channel, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online, and I've been creating content for D&D for the past 7-ish years. I've been a freelance illustrator since 2000, and I've been a DM for 39 years now. 5.5 is by far my favorite game engine to design for. I'm a big fan of both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Wizards of the Coast owns both IPs, and they have created crossover content that brings MTG settings into the D&D game engine, so we can publish things like that on the DMsGuild. I published many things like that on the DMsGuild. For anyone interested in seeing this stuff, it has free previews to everything, so you can get a good look and taste of the type of stuff that I build. But we've built 6 books so far utilizing mana mechanics, and only the revised color spell list has been updated for 2024, but people that purchased it previously can upload the most recent version, which is for 2024, so they'll always have access to both the 2014 and 2024 rules. And you can see here that there's 12 pages displayed. It's 12 pages total. I always provide 100% free preview of the books that I publish, because I don't want to paywall you behind my ideas. If you think my ideas are good and you want to use them or support me doing them, you'll give me money. If you don't think they're good ideas, I wouldn't expect you to, and I don't want you to. So, so color mana system, 5 colors in Magic the Gathering is white, blue, black, red, green. This replaces the 8 schools of Magic in Dungeons and Dragons, and instead of using spell slots from Dungeons and Dragons, we're going to use a 1-to-1 spell point conversion ratio. So a first level spell costs 1 point, a 5th level spell costs 5 points, a 9th level spell costs 9 points. It's very intuitive. You just add up, you just, if I want to cast a 3rd level spell, I just remove 3 points of mana. It's super simple. It's very, very easy. It actually is less spell power than what, like, for example, Wizard, if you were to add up all of the spell slots they get from level 1 to 20 and then convert them into points, they get 89 points. Half casters get 41 points, and the third caster, like the Arcane Trickster, the Eldritch Knight, the Warlock, Pack Magic, and the Monk, they all use the same mana resource in this system. But like the half casters, like the Artificer, the Paladin, and the Ranger, they get 43 spell slots worth of stuff. While, like, say, the Warlock gets 4 spell slots of 5th level, and the Monk gets 20 points over the course of 20 levels. The Arcane Trickster and Eldritch Knight get 23 spell levels over the course of their character's career. So we take all of those and we blend them all into each other to be short rest mana. You get 1 per level, 20 mana per at 20th level, and you get those back on a short rest. The Warlock also gets mana for the high magic, the Mystic Arcanum they can cast at level 6+. But it's a mana pool that you create, and you can either use just generic spell points to cast Fireball and cast Fly and cast Cure Wounds as you normally would as a character in D&D using spell points, but you can also assign each of these spells to a color. And so here's our color matrix, what defines each color. Like, we're doing blue today. So blue is air, control, illusion, knowledge, manipulation, and water. Generally, something thematic around those ideas is what we will see as blue cards. Damage types in D&D, there's 10 types of damage in D&D, and blue is devoted to, cold is devoted to white, blue, and green magic in general. So blue has cold, force, psychic, and thunder damage. So when you combine these aspects of magic with the types of damage of magic, you come up with a spell matrix. So, like, say, there's one. Guidance is white and blue. So it doesn't cost any mana, but its identity is naturally going to be either a white or a blue spell when you cast Guidance. Hey, Rel, what's going on? We're doing spell conversions today. We're converting Magic the Gathering cards into class feature effects. So we didn't have we had some attendance complications with running games today on my Discord. So instead, I'm going to use the time to just do some game design. This is all stuff that's going to eventually either be published on the DMsGuild, like we're going to be updating all this stuff for the DMsGuild for 2024 rules, and then from there we're going to go to my Patreon and we're going to start building out specific subclasses, species, all this stuff that uses the language that we've been building on the DMsGuild. But if you build hyper-specific stuff on the DMsGuild, it doesn't sell because it's too specific. But a Patreon channel would be good for people that are interested in MTG and D&D in general to get access to all the stuff that we're designing. Like once we have the rules in place here for 2024 online, then we can use the Patreon to just provide updates on individual character levels or spells or magic items. We can just spam spam that stuff out and build a more reliable audience base through Patreon than through DMsGuild. So giving DMsGuild their proper credit. So the books that we're publishing that utilize the mechanics from D&D, we're putting on DMsGuild. But once we have those built, we can take specific examples and build those out as PDFs. Like we could do... Like once all these books are published, we can do a blue mana, like Echo Knight, like a fighter Echo Knight blue mana. And if I make that free content on my Patreon, then I don't have to worry about violating any violating any copyright rules, because Eldritch Knight, the Echo Knight is technically not Wizards anyway. So I could redesign it and publish on DMsGuild, but who cares? It's DMsGuild is good for larger structure things that have a lot of value and allow you to do a lot of stuff. But the more specific pieces of it, like selling magic items per magic item on DMsGuild, you'll never, like, if you sell them for a penny, maybe you would, but you're never going to make any money that way. It's better for you to cluster magic items into a group and then sell it as a book, or use an independent platform to provide rewards, just like Patreon is designed to do. Anyway, money. I'm recovering from my hand cut. I didn't know you had a hand cut. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm recovering from my hand cut. Yeah. So explaining to the third-party audience so that they understand. This is what we're doing. So we're taking Magic the Gathering cards, and we are... Where are you? There you go. We're taking Magic the Gathering cards, blue specifically, and we're looking at what the language of the cards are, the flavor of the card, and the name, and we are converting them into subclass features. So we're breaking them down by white, blue, black, red, green, that we would then be able to recombine into more specific combinations. Like for example, Azorius Senate is white and blue. So once we finish breaking down the path of white, and the path of blue, we've got 40 powers or features created from Magic the Gathering white cards, and I'm hoping to get at least 30 out of blue cards. And that means that we have like basically 70 class features that can be picked and chosen from to create like generic blue caster class, like a generic blue mana subclass, like you're a blue magic specialist, and you can have a white magic specialist, and go in using the mechanics of this mana system. All 13 character classes use the same mana system, and here's your progression, and they all have at least half or full like we graduate the Arcane Trickster and the Eldritch Knight to be half casting power, so they can get up to 5th level spells or 5th level spell slots, or like 5th level casting by 17th level, just like a Ranger and Paladin can. So you're basically putting the half-casting chassis onto the fighter and onto the rogue when you take Eldritch Knight and Arcane Trickster, or the tradition of Arcane Magic, or the Barbarian Wild Magic, Path of Wild Magic. These all give you access to these options. So all the subclasses and all the classes using martial powers gives you this mana pool, and then you decide how you can mix and match your spell casting with the powers that you can spend mana on as marshals. But regardless, all of these classes have subclasses, and all of them have 4 tiers. All of them start at 3rd level, which is during 1st tier, level 1 to 4. 2nd tier is level 5 to 8. And so we see 2nd tier, only the rogue is 9th level in the 2nd tier, but otherwise everyone falls into alignment of at least 5th level. So if every class is either a half or a full caster, by 5th level everyone has the ability to cast at least 2nd level spells. So that allows us to create first tier as first level magic, second tier as second level magic, third tier, every character is at least 9th to 14th level. Third tier is generally 9th to 12th level. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So every 4 levels is one of the 5 tiers. So the third tier is third level spells. The fourth tier, everyone clips in at 14 or plus. And the fourth proficiency gain is 13 to 16. So everyone has the ability to cast 4th level spells by the time we get access to these subclasses. We can also opt into replacing our epic boon with a subclass option. So you could take 4 levels of one subclass as an artificer, and then when you get to level 19, you could take, like, say, the armorer. You could pick up another subclass. But we disintegrate that further, being that, like, any time you gain a subclass tier or epic boon, you can choose a new subclass. So we're basically building subclasses into feat chains that you can build you can stack up or build multiple at a time. So I could, like, the artificer could take, like, battlesmith at level 3, and then take armorer at level 5, and then take battlesmith 2 at third tier level 9, and then say pick up cartographer at 15th level in tier 4, and then say take the second rank the second tier of armorer at 19th level. So I've got the artificer has these 5 options. The fighter has a 5 subclass system, but all these Strixhaven type, these color mana subclasses that we're building only have 4. So the fighter would be able to take the first 4 tiers of, like, say, the blue, the blue magic archetype, and then at level 18, since you have an empty subclass, you could either take an epic feat, like a second epic feat, or rather your first epic feat at 18th level, or you could, like, say, start the path of white magic if you wanted to, like if you were playing Azorius. And then when you hit your epic boon, you could take, like, say, the first tier of Echo Knight, or the second tier of white magic, because you've already completed blue. Like, you could take blue 1, white 1, Echo Knight 1, white 2, blue 2, and Echo Knight 2. Like, you could build out second tier for 3 subclasses as a 19th level fighter. So we're giving you that flexibility. So the subclasses that we're designing with the Magic the Gathering cards are class neutral. They just do things. You either just do things like you have a new reaction, or you have a bonus action or something, or you get the ability to cast this spell using this mana. But the blue subclass that we're creating, all the features will require expending blue mana. So, like Artful Dodge, you can use your bonus action to expend 1 blue mana and use the dodge action. So you can, like, a rogue wouldn't need to use this, but a rogue that took blue, took the blue mana class could choose that, but, like, that's a dead level to me. I don't like that. So maybe I'll dodge into, like, rogue and into thief instead. So we have, but, like, this might not be, like, where was it? Angels, where was it? Come back here. Am I in white? I'm in white. Sorry, tangent. We'll get to work here in a second. Defensive stance. There we go. Defensive stance. You can take the dodge reaction as a reaction to being attacked by a source you can see. So, like, this doesn't require us, like, we can take the dodge action as a bonus action for a point of mana, or if we get attacked, we can take the dodge action as a reaction to being attacked by a source you can see. So that would apply the dodge effect there. So one option is bonus action, spend a point of mana, now you're dodging as though you were a rogue. A rogue wouldn't need that. But defensive stance would be useful for anyone, including the rogue. Because if you get attacked, you could then use defensive stance to gain dodge action until the beginning of your next turn. When you take you can take the dodge action as a reaction to being attacked, the source you can see. Yeah, there you go. So hold on, I can hear myself a little bit, so I want to adjust my volume, and then we'll get started. Now you guys have the general idea of how this stuff is working, and thanks a lot for people that are checking out the channel today. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. I do game design like this Monday nights, Thursday nights, and sometimes Saturday mornings. and then we do artwork for the games that I create. We do the artwork for those books on Monday through Fridays in the morning as well. So I stream 8 times a week, 7 or 8 times a week, and my Discord server is linked down below where we do playtesting and talk about ideas like this and design characters and blah blah. And then my Patreon, where I'll eventually be publishing like the Echo Knight and like a Boros Swift Blade and like a Witherbloom Sedge Witch. Like these are all subclasses that we can create from these pools of like a Witherbloom Sedge Witch is black and green mana, because Witherbloom is black and green. It's a specific type of Witherbloom character that would be appropriate to build out as a subclass. And if we could build it so like any full caster could take it, or we could take it so like any class could take the Sedge Witch, but we would want to bake in things that would be useful for a Sedge Witch to do. Or we could make it specific to like Wizard and Warlock, or just Warlock. We have a lot of options on how we build out subclasses to cater to different type of builds. So that's what we're trying to do, create a flexible system here with plug and play ability menus that we can then craft around the narrative more specifically. These are just generic options, like generic features that could be applied to anything that either cost action economy, have a passive bonus, or expend mana to do a thing, or gain access to a spell that you then spend mana to do the thing. It's just a list, but once we start combining them into a group that comprises a specific subclass, we can then further modify them to mold them into a specific narrative shape. So without further ado, let's go ahead and actually get started here. That I've talked about it enough. What's up? So in other words, subclasses, prestige subclasses. We're not designing specific classes, but essentially this is what a prestige class is. Subclasses were always designed to be prestige class, or basically the replacement for prestige classes in 5e. Third, for those that don't know, prestige classes were like, if I have like a +5 to hit bonus, and I've got like say expertise in stealth, I could become an assassin. And so assassin would be a separate class. I would take like say I had like a +5, like let's say like this. I have the Vex mastery, and I've got a +3d6 sneak attack damage. And if I have both of those components, I could become an assassin. So a single class rogue could, instead of progressing levels of rogue at like as a level 5, you got 3d6. So at level 6, I could either take a 6th level of rogue, or I could become an assassin level 1. So I'm now rogue 5, assassin 1. An assassin will probably just continue building on the stack of like sneak attack damage. So like at level 1, you'll get an extra +3d6. So 6 levels of rogue has gotten you 4d6 as opposed to only 3d6, because now you're classing into assassin, but you're not going to get like dice advantages that higher level rogues would get. Instead, you're going to be dealing more combat damage. Like maybe it's like you can use your bonus action to make a sneak attack even if you've already made a sneak attack this turn. Like that might be a 9th level, or like, yeah, that might be like if there's like 10 levels of classes in the assassin's prestige class progression. Maybe like around level 8, it would be like you can make sneak attacks on both your action and your bonus action now twice in the same turn. That's like at minimum, it'd be what, 5+, that'd be a 13th level character. So like that's decent power for a 13th level rogue to stay in line and curve with the damage that other classes are doing. So that's a decent option. But if we then, that's like how prestige classes would work in 5e. But I think the subclass system works well. Prestige classes were allowed to be taken by anybody that could access them. So that 3d6 damage that you can do as a rogue, great, but you may have picked up Vex as a fighter. So now you're a fighter 1, rogue 5, assassin 1. And so now as a 7th level character, you've got fighter abilities, rogue abilities, and now you're leading into assassin. So any combination of classes would give you the ability to pick this up. So the subclasses in D&D are siloed to specific classes. Like the assassin can only be taken by the rogue. It's a type of rogue instead of a type of adventurer that you could create. Like a wizard rogue assassin would operate differently than, like, say, a cleric ranger assassin would be if you could get access to it those ways. Like the ranger cleric assassin build is going to approach assassination differently than a fighter rogue assassin might, for instance. So, but since assassin in 5e is only for rogues, assassins always play the same way. So if we can broaden the subclass to work for multiple classes, we can restore that prestige class feeling of anyone can be an assassin. You just need to be able to do these things. But we're getting rid of the prerequisites. So we're simplifying access to prestige classes where you only get 4 or like up to 4 or 5, maybe 6 of these things over the course of your 20 levels. We're going to remove the gatekeeping to get access to them, to open them up as utility kits that you can tack onto your character every 3 or 4 or 5 levels. So you're basically able to augment it by these class neutral subclasses. Basically just become very powerful feats that you get every 4 levels, just like you get an ability score increase or feat every 4 levels in general as a class. You're also getting every 4 levels the subclass feature, which we're converting basically into a feat system that you can just... It's got the 4 tiers. You have to take the first tier to get the second tier. You have to take the second tier to get the third tier, but you can break them up across multiple. Anyway, I think you guys get it at this point. So, having said all that, let's grab a card and translate it into Magic the Gathering, or from Magic the Gathering into class language that we can use. So, generally, what we generally don't use artifacts. We don't use class features from monsters, so we generally skip those, because we can circle around later, and once we're building actual specific like creature type subclasses, then we can look at individual creature options to see what kind of cool things they're introducing for specifics. Right now we're just looking for generic ideas, so we're just using generic cards. We're skipping. We'll look at the mechanics of, like, Gran is a proper noun. This is a specific character. We might use what she can do, but we won't call it Gran. It'll become a bunch of question marks, like gain proficiency or expertise in a skill or tool while maintaining concentration. That could be a class feature, but we don't know what the name of that is yet. So if we find something that might fit that description, we can give it that name and utilize that mechanic. So we'll skip artifacts, we skip creature cards, and we will rename proper noun cards, but we will scrape them for mechanics. So that's the general guideline that we use. And so we also generally don't do things that modify land, but that's kind of like creatures. So those are the rules, and so let's begin. So in other words, prestige classes, yes, or paralyzed people, which is something 3.5 assassins could do. Right. Right, because if you have a wizard assassin that can paralyze people when they make attack rolls, they can suddenly start using chilling touch, which is a ranged spell attack. But if I hit, I could paralyze you on top of the chill touch damage and slowing your movement, though you're already paralyzed. But yeah, that's a good example. Okay, Gran. What can Gran do? She's a creature card, so generally we're going to skip that. But it's tap effects and costing less on mana, so that doesn't really matter anyway. Grayscale Garel, that's a creature card. Gridlock, tap X non-target land, target non-land permanents. That's like tapping is like stunning or grappling, restraining, and that's essentially Gridlock is essentially like a hold person or a hold monster type effect. So we don't really need to give that specific attention. We're gonna skip it. Grixis Illusionist is a creature card, so we'll skip that. Lurker is also. But let's look at what Megamorph is anyway. Can't be blocked. Sure. Can't be blocked is kind of overlaps into doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it moves. That's kind of the same idea. The visual of blocking somebody's path is kind of like making an opportunity attack when they try to leave your area of effect. It's sort of the same idea. So when you see such and such can't be blocked, that generally means that they get disengaged for free. Like that's a good general like translation that you can use. Megamorph. For 1 mana, you can cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 mana. Turn it face. Okay, that's completely irrelevant. So we're gonna skip that. But yeah, that was worth mentioning. The can't be blocked. I wouldn't call it can't be blocked. That's why it's not an individual power. See, a lot of the things that are inside of cards don't really stand alone as their own feature. Half shark, half something else. This is one of those silly cards. We're going to skip that. Hapless Researcher is a creature card. Hardcover. Enchantment Aura. These are good. Enchant creature. So that'd be generally like a concentration or like a sustained ability. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has tap. Draw a card, then discard a card. Card draw is generally something like regaining mana. It could be like getting access to a spell. It could be gaining advantage. Bonuses is generally like advantage on attack rolls or like a bonus to attack. And the +2 can either be like a boost to armor class or it could be like attacks against you or with disadvantage. Discarding a card is generally like losing something. So like draw a card, then discard a card could be translated into something like when you sacrifice hit dice, you regain mana. Or you can sacrifice mana to regain hit dice. Or you can sacrifice mana to regain a use of an ability. We use that a lot in the class features. Like for example, the Cleric's Channel Divinity feature at 3rd level. It is you can sacrifice Channel Divinity to gain 2 mana, and you can expend 2 mana to gain an additional use of Channel Divinity. So you can convert your entire mana pool into recurring uses of Channel Divinity, and if that's how you wanted to use your mana pool. A bard can convert a point of bardic inspiration. I can sacrifice a bardic inspiration point to gain a point of mana. I can sacrifice a point of mana to regain or to gain another bardic inspiration die. So if I wanted to, I could expend my entire full casting mana pool on just bardic inspiration dice, like the College of Dance, for instance, can expend hit dice to help other people move, to deal more damage, as well as doubling as a damage die. I could convert my entire mana pool to do nothing but melee combat damage and troop support by sacrificing my mana pool to constantly just be pumping out bardic inspiration die as bonus actions and reactions. So that's a way you can manipulate your mana pool. So that would be an example of draw a card, discard a card, like converting your mana into another resource, converting a resource into mana. That's a general theme that works in this system. So we kind of keep that in mind as we play. Hard evidence. Okay. Hard evidence. Create a 0/3 blue crab creature token. Okay, great. That's creating a card. That's a summon monster. We're going to skip that. Harmonized Trio. Again, these are creature cards. We generally skip them, but we'll look at Brainstorm. Draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. That's mana. That's card management, which doesn't have a direct translation into D&D mechanics. A lot of the mechanics of MTG is metadata manipulation, manipulating your hand, manipulating your graveyard, exiling, flicker, phase, shadow, all sorts of different card effects that modify how you interact with them that don't have a direct translation over into D&D, or if they do, like for example, every counter spell in the deck of MTG, of which there are thousands, all basically boil down to counter spell or dispel magic, which can only be modified a couple ways. So, and if they come up, we'll play with them. Harrier Strix. Harrier Strix is a creature card. We'll skip it. Hadron Crab is awesome, but we'll skip it. There we go. Herald's Reveal. For those that are concerned that we're skipping a lot of cards, again, we pulled 40 powers of white doing the same process with just 1 mana white card effects. 40 class features. We're up to like 26 in blue already. And we're only 1/3 of the way through the blue mana cards that only cost 1 mana. It's like, we're doing actually pretty good. So even if we go through the rest of the set and we only find like 2 or 3 more things that are useful, it's just about 30 abilities. We're looking good. So anyway, Herald's Reveal. Reveille? Yeah, Herald's Reveille. Draw a card. If a permanent you controlled explored this turn, seek a merfolk card instead. So for 1 mana, I could search for stuff. I could draw a random card. If a permanent you control, if I used exploration this turn, which is you get a map token, I think. You spend a point of mana, sacrifice the map token, and then I think you get to I think, scry. And this is allowing you, if you did that, you can now search your entire deck for merfolk. So that's a summoning card. Like Summon Fae covers this, so I'm going to leave it be. That's a good point, though. You know what? I think I'm going to go with this. Let's build out Herald's Reverie real quick. Let's go into D&D Beyond, and let's look at spells. Let's go look at Summon Fae. So let's look at what level is the Summon Fae spell. Summon Fae. Because this is what I'm thinking. I think it's a 6th level spell, but I am wrong. It's 3rd level. So 3rd level is 3rd tier, which means level 9 plus. So we're going to go down to 3rd tier. Herald's Reveille. You how do they word that? You always have the Summon Fae spell prepared. Even if you are not a spellcaster. Spellcaster, and you can cast it. You can cast this spell by expending 2 blue mana instead of 3. If you do, the duration of the spell is reduced to 1 minute. And doesn't require concentration. You can only have 1 Fae summoned this way at a time. So you can spin this repeatedly. It'll last for a minute. Don't have to maintain concentration, and then you can spend 2 more mana. You call forth a Fae Spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range and uses the Fae Spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose a mood. Fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. The creature resembles a Fae creature of your choice. So it's not literally a merfolk that we're creating, but that's the general jive that you're getting off this, right? And let's see, armor class is 12 plus the spells level. You cast this. You can downcast this spell a level 2 spell by expending 2 blue mana. Summon Fae, I would normally be able to cast. Hold on, let's go look at it. This is since we pulled up this book. Let's give you an example. Because this list, this is the revised color mana spell list. This has been updated for 2024. So let's go down to Summon Fae. You can cast Summon Fate can be summoned by blue and green magic. So it's 3 mana, and normally I could spend like say 1 blue mana and 2 mana of any color, like say 1 blue and 2 white, or 1 blue and 2 black, for instance. Or I could cast it like with 1 green and 1 black, or 1 green and 2 red. As a 3rd level spell, but this is allowing us to downcast it as a 2nd level spell by expending 2 mana specifically. So as a 3rd level spell, I could use 1 mana and 2 of anything else, but if I want to gain this downcasting option, I have to spend 2 mana, 2 blue mana specifically. So when you're building your mana pool, you choose what colors do you want. And if I'm playing an Azorius Senate character, then I'm only going to choose white and blue mana because my character's identity is white and blue. Hold on real quick. With it. Sorry, I'm getting cute texts. Distracting. All right, back to work, Kearney. Earn your keep. I'm going to take a sip of water. And I'm going to take a quick chug of coffee. Not going to be an Ancestral Guardian Cleric or Paladin makes sense, and then the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, except that the Ancestral Guardian subclass that was built is keyed specifically to Barbarian subclass, to Barbarian class features. If we rebuilt Ancestral Guardian to instead expend mana instead of utilizing Barbarian class features, you can effectively disintegrate the need to have Barbarian. Or, again, Ancestral Guardian would then be able to be taken by any class. An Ancestral Guardian Rogue could be a protector of guardians, of like ancestral secrets. Or an Ancestral Guardian Warlock could have a patron of, like, say, a Great Old One that manifests as an ancient ancestor of yours that is gained unworldly power or whatever. I don't know, whatever. The flavor is yours to build. But you can see how you could if you make it class neutral by having a resource expended that all the classes use, which is why it was important for us to build the color mana spell point variant rules so that every class has mana that they can use as a central resource. Like, we rebuilt all, I know you know this, Rel, but for the new audience out there, hey guys, all the class features of all the martial classes, all 14, including the Scion classes in this document, have been converted into mana as your primary resource. So, like, you can use you can expend mana to gain additional uses of rage. You can sacrifice rage to regain mana. The Barbarian specifically is the one of the unique features of the Barbarian class is that you can sacrifice Barbarian hit dice as mana. And in the martial power system here, you get power dice. So at level 1, you get a D6. At level 9, you get a D8. At level 17, you get a D10, which is similar to like a Bardic Inspiration die, a Superiority die from the Battlemaster, or like the Monk's Martial Arts die. This basically acts in those functions. Like, if I have an ability that allows me to increase my stealth roll, I can spend a point of mana and roll D6 and add that D6 to the result of my stealth roll to see if, to increase the chances of me being stealthy. And that just naturally advances at level 9 and level 17. But like the monk, for instance, gets their D6, and then at 5 gets a D8, at 11 gets a D10, and at 17 gets a D12. Any power that a monk takes would use the martial arts die instead of the default power die. Similarly, a battle master starts with a D6 as a fighter, but at level 3 becomes a battle master, so now uses a D8, and then at 9th level uses a D10, and at 17th level uses a D12. So the battle master has a better die than anyone else. So that's an interesting, and like if you dump in mana to deal extra damage during combat, like a paladin could, like, say, spend 3 points of mana at 17th level and deal like 3d10 damage on top of like blinding or catching something on fire or banishing it or whatever it is that you're going to do with your paladin smite ability. It gets translated into these scaling power dice effects. Let's see. So the Barbarian, talking about the Barbarian's hit die, what's interesting about the Barbarian is Barbarian's hit dice are D12s. So you have a mana pool, and if the Barbarian like spends 1 point of mana at say 3rd level to increase damage, it would increase damage by D6. But instead of spending mana, if I spent my hit die, I would do D12 extra damage, and I would gain my Constitution bonus of hit points as an automatic heal for spending my hit die. But I'm not spending my hit die to get hit points back. I'm spending my hit die to create mana to deal damage to somebody. But I still spent my hit die, so I'm going to give myself at least some hit points back as a consolidation of you won't have access to this hit die later on to heal with during a short rest if you needed it. So there you go. And I can like say, so I can like sacrifice my hit dice to ramp the damage that I deal. So the Barbarian can always do D12 even at level 1 in like boosting, like if I need to hit the stealth check, Barbarian making a stealth check could sacrifice a hit die and then add D12, while like the fighter or the rogue would only be able to add D6 because the Barbarian can sacrifice their hit dice. Like that's the special thing that a Barbarian can do. And of course, Barbarian has Rage, which modifies stuff as well. And we've spent a number of sessions talking about like the Barbarian specifically. But regardless, this system is played incredibly well for over 2 years across multiple tiers from level 1 to 20. I'm really happy with it. Now we're building into it. So this is going to be one of our, I think starting in July, I think we're going to start working on this in the Color Mana books. So right now we're just padding out stuff to use these mechanics. So while we're building those mechanics, we can also, as a side project, start working on these things as well, which is what we're doing today. So, continuing on with the equation. Sorry, that was a tangent, but cheers. Hide on the Ceiling. Instant. Exile X target artifacts and creature cards. Return the exiled creature to the battlefield under their zone control at the beginning of your next step. That's basically like Vanish, Invisible, Flicker, Blink. These are all effects and spells that we already have, so I don't feel like this adds anything. It's just basically reflavoring other kind of cards that already exist in a Spider-Man flavor, so I don't feel there's a lot of value there. High Tide. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds an additional point of mana. That's a cool spell. But it's land management, so we don't really have much to interact with it, so we'll skip it. Holographic Double. Exile Holographic Double from your hand. Choose a creature card in your hand. Conjure a duplicate of it into your hand. I think the narrative of this is basically a mirror image. It's like the mirror image spell, which is a great blue spell. So we could call it we could call it Illusory Double. So now you're seeing 5.5 spell manipulation as class features, right? I'm basically embodying them at this moment. So this would be we're on a 3rd level feature here. Let's go all the way down to 1st tier because no, it'd be 2nd tier because mirror image I think is a 2nd level spell. Or is it 1st? Second level, mirror image, blue spell. Very, very blue. Okay, great. So let's go down to the 2nd tier. Here. Illusory Double. Instead of Holographic Double, we're changing the flavor to be more fantasy. Second level spell means 2nd tier, so Illusory Double. You. Hold on, I'm going to go Steel Language. You always have the mirror image spell prepared, even if you are not a spellcaster. And when you downcast it, and you can downcast it as a level 1 spell by expending 1 blue mana. If you do, illusory. Sorry. 3 illusory duplicates of yourself appear in your space until the spell ends. The duplicate move with you and mimic your action. Each time a creature hits you with an attack roll during the spell's duration, roll 1d6 for each of your remaining duplicates. If any of the die rolls are a 3 or higher, one of the duplicates is hit instead of you. Here we go. Okay, so illusory double. You always have in the last 1 minute. You always have the mirror image spell prepared, even if you are not a spellcaster, and you can downcast it as a level 1 spell by expending blue mana. If you do, the spell creates only one illusory duplicate. There. You would normally get 3 when you cast that as a second level spell, but we're going to let you spin it, cast it as 1 mana to create 1. Let's see. You always have the mirror image spell. Ooh. Each time a creature rolls, if D6 rolls is 3 or higher. See, now this would work well with a power die. If you do, the spell creates only 1 illusory duplicate. At level 9, roll 1d8 instead of 1d6, and at level 17, roll 1d10. There. So now you're getting the benefit of the power scaling. Even if full casters don't get power scaling, they don't use power dice, they don't get powers at all. They get a fuck ton of mana, and they get high magic to go along with it up to 9th level casting at an accelerated pace. The half casters and marshals don't have that pace, but they have more granular control of how they use their mana to be able to use die rolls to modify their D20 tests. There's a lot of powers that allow you to manipulate D20 tests in the system. So that's like the marshals, the marshal characters. The divide between marshals and casters is casters have to spend a lot of mana to create definitive results, while marshals spend very little mana to change the odds in their favor of succeeding at what they're trying to do. So full casters hard force reality to change by spending a lot of mana. Marshals spend small amounts of mana to change the likelihood or possibility of something happening. So it's very much like a Mage the Ascension sort of vibe. If you were to look at alternate game systems where you're making your magic fit within the plausibility of circumstances to not create a paradox. While full casters ripping 9th level wish spells are throwing magical paradoxes in the face, saying, yeah, I'm altering reality openly with a word. What are you going to do about it? And in Mage the Awakening, you'd be hunted down by demons and killed. But in D&D, you're always hunted down by demons. So you're just used to that. So why not throw the magic? Anyway, I'm making a joke. But that's like the difference between them. So a full caster wouldn't have power dice to scale with. Otherwise, I could just say you can use, instead of rolling a d6, you can roll a power die. But like a cleric won't have a power die. So an illusory double, you know what? That's actually really fun. If you do, the spell creates only 1 illusory duplicate. Let's do it like this. A marshal, and you can roll a power die instead of 1d6 to determine if the duplicate is hit. I talked myself into it. There you go. So now we can start introducing. It already gets a D6. Normally, when full casters take say Power Initiate to gain access to a martial power that would use a power die, like you want your Trickery Cleric. Your Trickery Domain Cleric wants to have access to boosted stealth, so they spend a feat to get the Power Initiate to then learn empowered instant skill, empowered ability, and they take empowered ability to increase gain advantage on their dexterity checks, and at will spend a point of mana to increase it by a power die. But because the caster doesn't have the channeling class feature, it has the spellcasting feature. Casters are limited to D4s. So while your first level fighter has a D6, if a first level wizard took Power Initiate as an origin feat, then they would be rolling a D6 on that, while all the marshals would be rolling a D4, while all the marshals roll a D6. So full casters have a ton of mana, so they can do these things more often than marshals can, but when they do, they're less effective. Because a 20th level wizard is still only rolling a D4, even though I can throw 80 of those per day without having to take a rest. It's still only going to be a D4 because I'm not gaining ranks of power. I'm not increasing my channeling level. I just borrowed into the pool of power to get something I could always just spend a point of mana on to improve the result of, for instance, which is thematically very good. It's worth multiclassing. It is very, if you're not running a full 20 level campaign, it is worth considering dipping into a martial for 1 or 2 levels just to get access to a power die and a stack of powers that you can select. So it's worth considering, and it's fun to multiclass, and again leans into that character building mini game that was so popular in 3E. 3E was the best version of D&D yet, because the way that prestige classes worked, it encouraged you to optimize character level progression and multi-classing to build a skill set that would qualify you for different prestige classes. So you can make your character function in different ways built on your prestige class access. The power system being used as a feat for full casters or for any of the marshals to use opens up a whole new leg of magic that can be mixed and matched between full casters and martial half casters to make use of how do I want to optimize these abilities together. So, but we've spent a number of sessions about that, so I'll step off. But yeah, you can see how we're now opening up spellcasting. This is the big complaint is that D&D 5.5e is basically spellcasting equals class feature, and in this instance we are propagating that. But Magic the Gathering is all about spellcasters throwing spells at each other, and everyone is a spellcaster. So the MTG system that we built is everyone has mana. Now everyone has access to this mana stuff. We could also go you have access to the empowered ability power, and you can use specific, you have the empowered ability power for dexterity. So now it's a stealth focused thing. But I digress. Let's just keep on keeping on. Honest work. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When this aura enters, tap the enchanted creature and remove all counters from it. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a citizen with base power and toughness of 1/1 with tap. Add colorless mana named Humble Merchant. It loses all other creatures. I love that. What a nasty debuff. That's essentially polymorph. That's I polymorph you into a shoe crab. You're now useless in combat. That's essentially what Honest Work is doing. It's a 1 mana polymorph fuck you. So I wouldn't call it Honest Work. That's not fantasy. But we could create something like that. It could be and it would be first rank. So let's throw up some question marks up here. So the ability would basically work like this. Target a creature you can see within 60 feet. Let's do it like this. Force a creature you can see within 60 feet to make within 60 feet of yourself, within 60 feet, I don't need to do that, within 60 feet to make, force a creature you can see within 60 feet to make a wisdom saving throw. If the save, on a failure, the target is polymorphed into a tiny beast for until the end of their next turn. There you go. That's an ability. It's a forced polymorph that lasts only one round that basically makes them useless for a round. It's a wisdom saving throw. They can still scuttle around and do stuff, but they're basically neutralized. That would make it generally lower level than Hold Person, but it's still a polymorph spell. So polymorph comes in at 4th level, which would be 4th tier, but it's a super low level ability, and it's not giving you access to polymorph. It's let's call it the target is shapeshifted, because shapeshift is an actual term. The target is shapeshifted into a tiny beast until the end of their next turn. So that could be a 2nd tier feature pretty easily. There. That's a thing now. That's so Simic, it's crazy. Hey, what's up? Hey, man. I was a bit concerned that this method wasn't going to work well for green spells, so I checked Scryfall, and they're printed most famous 3 and 4 cost cards at 1 cost now. Hey, how about that? Witness Protection is an MTG version of Honest Work. Oh yeah, you're right. Neat. Yeah, because they're just basically because these Universes Beyond card decks are basically just reflavored. A lot of times they're just reflavored standard cards. So I'm sure there's name equivalents. And God, Ma, you are. How am I supposed to pronounce your name? Mawilix. Thank you. I think that's how we do that. Mawilix. Anyway, man, I appreciate it. You have really good system knowledge of MTG, and I appreciate you being around when you are. So thanks. I always appreciate your input. I won't always follow your advice, but I definitely appreciate the input. Let's see. Hookblade Veteran. That is a creature card, so we'll generally skip that. But Hookblade Veteran, like Hookblade, might actually end up being a fun class. Oh, this is Assassin's Creed shit. Yeah, step away. Humbling Elder, another creature card. We're going to skip that for now. Hydroblast. That is an instant spell. Counter target spell if it's red. Destroy target permanent if it's red. This is more color interaction. That is not a good, reliable way to play. But essentially, it's just counter spell. I would never expect somebody to, even if it was 2nd level, I wouldn't expect you to have counter red spell, counter white spell, counter green spell, counter blue spell, counter green spell. I wouldn't expect you to have 5 separate spells that you would have to prepare to only reduce the cost of mana by 1. You'd get access to it at for a full caster at 3rd level, but you would also have to choose of the 5 spells you could prepare, which color do you want to prepare? And if you chose the wrong color, it feels bad, which is why they moved away from spell slot selection, a specific spell. After 3rd edition, they moved away from that because it felt bad. If I didn't guess what type of adventure I'd have today, most of the spells on my spell list might be worthless. And that was the gamble for power that we had for being a full caster and being able to wield cosmic powers. You had to know which cosmic powers to wield that day in advance. But it felt bad. You recognize the balance, but it still felt bad. So they got rid of the feel bad, but didn't do anything to help the balance. So they just basically got rid of a mitigating factor that limited power, which is why we use the mana curve in here. If you want to cast a blue spell, you have to have blue mana in your mana pool. Otherwise, you can't cast it.
or you need to do in-game role-playing things to get access to that spell in the color that you want. So this color mana system creates a narratively focused reason to create roadblocks to power for full casters, which is just enough that when combined with the martial power system that we built for all other characters being half casters, actually does a lot to close the divide between martials and casters by essentially making full casting more difficult and giving everyone access to half casting that's more versatile and easy. So that's how most people think giving everybody magic is cheating in Magic the Gathering, but you don't have to use mana if you don't want as a martial character. You can literally just prepare 15 feats and not spend any mana at all, but you have now gained, like over the course of 20 levels, 15 feats on top of the stat gains you gain every 4 levels. So your fighter could gain at 4, 6, 10, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. I could take 6 stat gains, and I still can prepare 15 feats. Here, I'll show you guys real quick. I'm on a tear. If we go down to the list of prepared, like things that you can prepare, right? We have the disciplines, which are mana abilities, including exploits. Exploits modify die rolls, and they change action economy or give you bonus action economy stuff to do by spending mana, but they don't require actions themselves. They just modify actions you're doing. Then we have maneuvers, which are spell-like abilities that can be used as magic actions, bonus actions, both twice in the same round if you want to, and they cost mana to use. And they have various kicker effects that let them do more, reduce their cost, or modify how they operate, kind of like internal exploits. Then we have reactions, which is how it sounds. They have triggering conditions, and by spending mana on that triggering condition, it has a response. And there's various kicker effects that a lot of these reactions don't use your reaction at all. If you spend extra mana, you can use like bait and switch. You can like move 5 feet to swap positions with somebody else, and either you or they gain an increase to armor class. You can do that multiple times before your turn by spending an extra point. Like I spend 1 point to bait and switch, and I spend an extra point of mana to not have to use my reaction. So if I've got 5 people in the party that are adjacent to me, I could potentially swap bait and switch each one of them for 5 mana, and all of them could get an armor class bonus until the beginning of their next turn. I don't know why I'd want to do that. It's a horrible use of mana, but it's something I could do. Many of these reactions have these kicker effects that don't require you to use your reaction, but none of them deal damage. The only reactions that you can kick are either allowing somebody else to use their action economy a different way, or preventing you from taking damage, or allowing you to replace a d20. But none of them actually let you make extra attacks. So we don't have an extra attack spam loop. We specifically avoided doing that. We have very intentional guardrails put on what these things can do to not break the 5.5 game system. And we've been very meticulous about it. And so far it's working incredibly well across all 20 levels that we've play tested over the past 2 years. So I'm really happy about that. Then we have Strikes, which is basically a community smite and paladin smite ability. All of the smite powers, arcane archer abilities, a lot of the blood hunter abilities, and some various class features and just other ideas in general have all been baked into 26 different smite spell abilities, starting at level 1. So basically a rogue can do all the smite spells that a paladin can with this system, but a paladin can put twice as much mana into it that a rogue could. So like, get that out of the way, sorry. So like the reason why paladin's still the best at smiting is because they can put twice the amount of, like they can put 8 mana worth of smite damage into a smite spell once per round, while like a fighter at most can put in 5. So it's actually a pretty significant difference. So the paladin still retains their like king of the smiters, but this also means that like it's not the level of spell that you cast determines the damage of smite. It's what rank of paladin, level of paladin are you, will determine how much mana you can put into any smite spell you cast. So now a level 2 paladin 18 sorcerer will have 96 mana, but I can only spend 1 mana at a time as a first level paladin casting smite spells. And I'll only have at most 4 smite spells. Because of first level paladin, I could get access to 4 strike powers. But these all have kicker effects that do extra stuff. Like for example, Caustic Strike. Your weapon can deal acid or necrotic damage and increases the damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. At the beginning of the target's next turn, it makes a Constitution saving throw or takes the same amount and type of damage as dealt by the power dice. So like if I spend at level 9, I spend 3 mana, I can roll 3d8, dealing that much damage of acid or necrotic damage. And then the next round, like say I rolled 16. The next round, the target rolls a saving throw, and if they fail, they take that 16 damage again. And then as a kicker effect, when you target a construct, object, or structure, you can expend additional mana up to your channel limit to deal an extra power die of damage for each mana expended this way. Actually, let's do it this way. When you target a construct, object, or structure, you automatically score a crit. It's considered a crit. There you go. Let's just word it like that for now. That's better. I don't want you to spend more mana, but that's Caustic Strike's really good against stuff. Hey, what's up? To be fair, you could use it to put out fires instead. That's like a super specific example of how you would use that. Like Hydroblast could be like you gain the Elementalist cantrip, but you can only manipulate water with it. For instance. Or like any attack you any spell that deals damage can deal cold damage instead. Anyway, strike powers, that's how they work, and then we have sustained powers, which are like concentration, like enchantment auras that improve, like give your character buffs and improve effects on yourself, but they don't require concentration. Once you tap your mana, it stays on until you're either incapacitated, dispelled, or you decide to untap the mana and turn off. When you untap the mana, that's when it gets expended. So you basically turn on an aura effect, it stays on, and you can have multiple sustained aura effects on at the same time. A 9th level character, a 9th level marshal that has access to 3rd rank of power can have up to 3 mana tapped to sustain power effects. And that could either be 3 1st rank powers, 1 3rd rank power, or a 2nd rank power and a 1st rank power in any combination. And if you are a half caster or multi-classing and spell casting, each rank of power that you sustain reduces the amount of the levels of concentration you can maintain. So that 9th level ranger that's sustaining 2 ranks of power can only concentrate on 1st level spells. Because of the 3 levels that they have, 2 of them are now tied up with powers, leaving only 1 level worth of concentration open. And of course, with this system, rangers don't have to concentrate on Mark of Prey, or Hunter's Mark, which we convert into the Mark of Prey class feature, which no longer requires concentration, but does require action economy to use. Just like kind of like a Barbarian's Rage feature requires a bonus action to turn on, and requires additional actions to keep active. The Mark of Prey kind of works like that as well. But sustained powers, there you go. Like Cliff Runner, for example, for 1 mana, you turn it on and it stays on. You gain a climb speed equal to your move speed, and you don't need to use your hands while doing so. So you can basically just run along cliffs and just hang out on the side like a wall crawler, like Spider-Man. We could change that name to Wall Crawler if we wanted to be Universes Beyond, but I like Cliff Runner. I think that's a fun name. But like that's an example of a 1st rank power. I could combine that with Rogue Stance. And Rogue Stance is, while this power is sustained, you can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, and hide. That's basically cunning action for a rogue for free, but for any other character, you spend 1 point of mana to turn it on, and now you have cunning actions as a rogue. And for 1 point a kicker, you can when you use a bonus action to dash or disengage, you can expend 1 mana to also take the dodge action. You can also, this is very much like the monk, like the monks. You can also take the dodge action. There you go. That's your kicker effect. That's better wording. We're still this isn't a published book yet. We're still working on the language. But that's how sustained powers work. But then beyond that, we have meta powers, which are things that you prepare, just like you'd prepare these spells or powers. But they're effectively like cantrips. So in the cantrip version of a sustained power is a feat. So we have 48 feats that you can prepare. At first level, you can prepare origin feats, including Alert, Healer, Savage Attacker, and Tavern Crawler. But we also have fighting styles that all marshals can select, including Rogue, can select at first level instead. And it's all of them, plus plus Efficient Power, and where is it? New feat, Epic Boon, Efficient Power, Power Initiate. There it is, Origin feat, Power Initiate. There, that should be like that. I don't think it's in here. Yeah. So all of the fighting style feats are in here. So you can prepare these. So you can save your fourth level, your ability score increases. You can actually increase your ability scores with them as a martial character. Full casters don't get this option. So full casters, if they want to improve their ability scores, they're either going to take a half casting, like a half feat, or they're going to have to spend a feat and not gain an ability bonus. Or they're going to gain the ability bonus and not gain any feats. The marshals can take feats as prepared powers, leaving their ability score open to their ASIs open to actually increase their ability scores. So again, it's another fun balancing point between the two classes, worth considering multi-classing into. At 5th level, when you get access to second rank powers, you can take general feats. You don't gain ability score increases with these, but they don't have prerequisites either. So a 9 strength, barbarian, a 9 strength rogue could potentially use like giant weapon, great weapon master if they want it for whatever reason, but they could. Or like, what's another good example? Like, Skulker, I think you have like at least a dexterity of 13, but if you take Skulker as a power, the power pays for the prerequisite for you, so you could be a 9 dex fighter in full plate and still be utilizing Skulker, for instance. So useful abilities, telepathic and telekinesis in there is super useful. Epic Boon at 5th rank at 17th level, you can take a small selection of epic boons. Again, you don't have a prerequisite, but you don't gain any ability score increases with it either. And this is very, very limited in what you can use. So there you go. And so there's like 48 feats that you could choose to take, and your character only gets 15 powers. So if you wanted to, you could just load up on fighting styles and general feats over the course of your 20 levels and never use your mana pool if you don't want to. So you can keep marshals non-magical. If you wanted to make a non-spellcasting ranger, this is a good way to do that. Just kit your ranger up on shitloads of feats and don't be a magic user. Just use like a couple, like use Mark of Prey and pick up a couple strike powers that just automatically deal more damage when you spend points on them. That's just enhancing your attack ability. That doesn't really feel like magic for a ranger any more than a smite spell feels like a paladin is a caster. It's not really the same. But then the rest of your stuff can just be feats. There you go. You can also take fighting. You can also take weapon masteries. We have 12 weapon masteries that you can select from. And instead of gaining a select number of weapon masteries, you can just prepare these things. So you get a whole bunch of stuff that you can prepare at first level to compensate for the fighting styles, the weapon masteries, plus the ability to pick up. So like everyone gets 4 powers or 4 preps at first level, which at first level you only have 1 mana. So presumably you're going to spend that on weapon masteries and feats until you get enough mana to be able to do things repeatedly. So it has that ramping curve, but you can just stay inside that mana-free space with just a bunch of weapon masteries that can be used on any. If you prepare it, you can use it with any weapon. If you're proficient with a weapon, you automatically get the mastery associated with that weapon. But like if I prepare, say, push, I can push with any weapon I'm proficient with, including unarmed and natural weapons. But push is part of like heavy crossbow. And I think glaive, have them naturally. So if as a martial I'm proficient with glaive and heavy crossbow, I can use the push mastery even though I didn't prepare it. But if I do prepare it, I can use push with literally any weapon. So it opens that up to be far more utility, and that means like taking graze, so that if you ever miss an attack, you can at least deal your ability. You can at least deal your ability modifier and damage. There's no reason not to take graze. You can just pick it up anytime that you want as a prepared power. And now, anytime you miss, you're automatically going to be dealing at least some damage. Like that's a really good one. Graze, push, and topple, and depending Vex are like the top 4 picks that I generally find are that we've seen in playtesting and just eyeballing them. Those are going to be your 4 best. But like if you're playing Eldritch Rugby and you're trying to control the ball, disarm. Disarm becomes the absolute best power to have, because disarm lets you knock the ball out of people's hands and take it from them. You can also use sleight of hand to take the ball away from people, but a disarm mastery it's free to use and it gets the ball out of somebody's hands. It's super useful. Anyway, so and then there's damage types. At level 1, you can pick basic acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or BPS if you wanted to for some reason. Like so, whenever you make an attack, it uses that damage type instead. And when you get access to second rank powers at 5th level, you can pick up the more the advanced damage types of force, necrotic, psychic, radiant. Like for example, a monk at level 6 gets force damage for free always. So like this isn't crazy. Like it's going to cost you a prepared power to do the same thing that a monk can do for free. So like a monk wouldn't take that. I get it for free. I could take it at level 5 to get it early, and then at level 6 as a monk, now that I have it for free, I could drop it as a prepared power and replace it with something else. You could do that too. Anyway. So back to the spell effects. Hydroblast. Counter target spell. Right. So we were talking about countering spells, and that it didn't make sense at the lower levels. So we're going to skip that. Hydroponic architecture. Oh, architect. Thank you. Random land card in your library perpetually becomes a basic land. Oh, interesting. No, we'll skip that. Hydro Surge. Target creature is heavily debuffed until the end of their turn. Thirsty? Oh, shit. I am thirsty. I need to grab some water real quick. Let's contemplate Hydro Surge. That could be like a water whip effect. It's a debuff, though. I like that. Like it could be reduce the attack roll, or like reduce damage. There's like 20 more water thief spells, so it's fine. I hope at least one makes it in, because WotC almost entirely refuses to put water effects in other colors. I know, right? It's so core to color identity that the language for blue is generally air, control, illusion, knowledge, manipulation, and water. So yeah, we should have a water effect added in there. I absolutely agree. And water damage in D&D is generally translated into cold or bludgeoning. That's generally what water damage does. Let's see if it does damage at all. So, but yeah, I like the idea of water damage. Water bending is a thing, and I will eventually be converting this all into an elemental system of air, earth, fire, water, and soul, as opposed to the 5 colors. So that is going to be something we're going to end up doing. Let's consider Hydro Surge for a second. Target creature gets, what if water effect is probably going to end up someplace in like an aquatic subclass theme, not like as a core blue feature, but I agree. It has a place here and should be represented. And I want to represent it at first level, so it's right out the back. Aqueous form becoming an amorphous liquid. We have that going for us already. So we could very well like build into like a simic ooze creature sort of
prestige class. Huh. Hydroblast, Hydrosurge. I like the idea of actually Hydroblast is sounding more fun for a damaging spell. And Hydrosurge these are both debuff, like counter and debuff effects. So they're using water for debuffing. I kind of like the idea of using it for attack damage. Let's go with Hydroblast. Let's go because it's more aggressive. How about here's a fun idea. Okay, Hydroblast. Let's see. When let's do it like this. As a magic action, you create a blast of water, dealing 1d6 damage to a. As a magic action, you create a blast of water. Violent blast of water. Make a spell attack roll against a target you can see within 60 feet. On a hit, you deal 1d6 cold damage, and the target is vulnerable to lightning damage to the next source of lightning damage within the next minute. Before the end for the damage for the I guess for the next minute. That's not the right language, but we'll leave it there for now. This damage increases to 2d6 at level 5, 3d6 at level 11, and 4d6 at level 17. There. So it's basically a cold damage cantrip that has the vulnerable to lightning damage. And vulnerability means that if you're vulnerable to something, it automatically deals crit damage or you're at disadvantage on the saving throw. So Hydroblast, that feels good. Hypnotic Grifter. That's a creature card, but let's look at it. Hypnotic Grifter connives. Connives is draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. Conniving is basically like give you advantage. Okay, let's codify it. Conniving isn't necessarily blue, right? Because conniving, I bet there's a lot of black in connive. Actually, let's go down to connive because that feels like a black sort of thing to do. Connive. Actually, let's just call it conniving. When you expend black mana, when you expend one or more black mana, the next attack roll you make you gain advantage on the next attack roll you make before the end of your next turn. There. That feels super black, like a super black thing to do, or rather, at least the narrative feels right. Like that would be amazing for a rogue. Because a rogue could spend black mana to trigger any number of spells or power effects. And now I've got conniving working for me. I automatically gain that advantage. Like this would be like a rogue using a bonus action to trigger a power. Hold on, let's go look at a stack of maneuvers that a rogue could execute to gain advantage. Like for example, one of my favorites is Flicker Pounce. Where are you? There you are, Flicker Pounce. You can teleport, so it's 3 mana, so you can start doing this at 9th level. You can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see and make a melee attack against a creature within reach of your melee weapon that you can see. If the attack succeeds, or you choose to if the attack succeeds, you can choose to teleport back to your previous position. If you don't make an attack, if the attack misses, or you use an attack to grapple, you don't teleport the second time. And as a kicker effect, for an extra point of mana, you can see into the ethereal plane, and you can attack ethereal creatures until the beginning of your next turn. So, Flicker Pounce, that is a maneuver that I can trigger with a bonus action that teleports me and then triggers an attack that I can make. If I'm using Connive, when I expend 1 or more mana, I'm going to spend at least 1 point of mana to trigger Flicker Pounce. So as a bonus action, I flicker, and I can make an attack for free. I will then make that attack. I can then make that attack with advantage to trigger sneak attack damage that I would then be able to use to ramp up another strike effect. But regardless, if I hit, I can then teleport back to the other location. If I don't teleport away, I still have my action and my movement open for me to disengage and run away. So like Flicker Pounce plus Connive equals a really great black skirmishing ability. There you go. Okay, great. Let's get back to work. Hey, cool. We're extracting value. Hypnotic Pattern, that's already a spell. So we're just going to leave that be. Hypnotic Siren is a creature. What's Bestow? Okay, I'm being distracted by class features today. If you cast this card for its Bestow cost, it's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. Flying. You control enchanted creature. Got it. So it's either a creature or it's an enchantment of a creature. You control enchanted creature. Bestow. Okay, so check this out. Earlier we were looking at the summon Fey ability, right? We were looking at the 2nd level. What is that we came up with? What was it called? No, it's 3rd rank. Herald's Reveille. Reveille. Thank you. You always have the summon Fey spell, and you can downcast it as a level 2 spell for 2 mana. So this is letting us cast Reveille. If we had Bestow, if we could potentially, it'd be complicated, so I probably won't do it. But a Bestow idea would be, instead of using Herald's Reveille to create a Fey, we could use Bestow to give us Feyblade, Fey Step, Fuming, Mirthful, or Trixie. Like, we could gain one of these abilities. So instead of creating a creature that has these abilities that we would be able to control, we could take these abilities and bestow them upon ourselves.
So that would be very complicated to kit out as a feature. It would be like it'd be like when you cast a summon spell, instead of creating a creature, you gain the benefits and properties of that creature. It would basically be like a polymorph spell, essentially, kitting yourself with that. So Bestow is basically like a polymorph face spirit spell. I think, again, that's too complicated, but Bestow could do something like that if we decided to get more complicated. And making Pokemon evolutions. Ah, then they came out with the evolution cards. Got it. That makes sense. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, was it Korea? Was where they started. I think Korea is where they started doing the evolution card effect stacking. Complicated, but it'd be very complicated in D&D. So I'm going to skip it. But like that's something that could be done, just as a thought experiment. I thought it was neat. Maybe when we get into, maybe when I get around to building my Elemental Temples campaign idea and build that out as a Kickstarter. What I'm thinking about doing is just making it a single class. Everyone's a Warlock. And then you decide through invocations, are you going to go towards Cleric stuff, Druid stuff, Wizard stuff, Paladin stuff, Rogue stuff. Like you use your spell selection and your invocations to kit out your Warlock to either be Martial, Magic, or Gish. And so it just has one, it's just like it's classless, where everybody uses the Warlock chassis to either build up spells or powers and combat effects. That's the idea, where the differences between your characters is what you lean into as a kit and what devotion of what elements you're devoted to. So, but following these same ideas, this Magic the Gathering is basically an incubator for an Elemental 5e system that we'll be able to put out on as a, like, say, a Kickstarter project. And like, say, if 5.5 is still doing well in, like, say 2029, we'll probably have slow kicked long enough for us to be able to build that Elemental system. I don't know if it'll be necessary at that point or if we'll be moving on to 6e, or we'll see what WotC does, but that's something like way back in the slow cooker. That's going to take a couple years to cook, and I'm okay with it. Anyway, carrying on. Icy Blast. Ooh. Ferocious. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, these creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap phase. Tap X creatures. Basically freeze them. Basically like Mass Hold Person, Stunlock, like Stunlock Blast. Do we want to include that? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's consider it. Icy Blast. That'd be like a 14th level ability. So let's put it up here in the high rank powers. So 4th rank, Icy Blast. Sorry. Alphabet issues. There. Let's see. Let's go look at the Fear spell real quick. Each creature in a 30-foot cone must make a, let's say, Constitution saving throw. Or gain the paralyzed condition. Let's see. You can expend. When you expend 4 blue mana as a magic action, each creature in a 30-foot cone must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or gain the paralyzed condition. Each creature
can save again at the end of their turn to end this effect early for 1 minute. Is that overpowered for level 4? Let's test it against Hypnotic Pattern. Hypnotic Pattern does 3rd level, 1 minute, concentration. You create a twisting pattern of color, 30-foot cube. A pattern appears for a moment and vanishes. Each creature in the area who can see the pattern must make a wisdom saving throw or have the charm condition. While charmed, they're incapacitated. So 30-foot cube versus 30-foot cone. 30-foot cone is less than cube. 1 minute concentration. When you expend 4 blue mana as a magic action, each creature in a 30-foot cone must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or gain the paralyzed condition for 1 minute. Or gain the paralyzed condition for 1 minute. You can maintain concentration to extend the duration of this effect for up to 1 minute until the end of your next turn. You can maintain concentration to extend the duration of this effect for up to 1 minute. Each creature can save if you do, there we go. That's good. So for 4 mana, it will last 1 round. Anyone that fails their Constitution saving throw in that 30-foot cone. If you want to maintain concentration on it, you can keep it going for up to a minute, but they get to save each round to get out of it. That actually feels like a pretty balanced ability. I haven't seen anything like that before, and I actually kind of like that a lot. That would technically just be a MTG spell that we're just basically making up as a spell. I recognize that. But it's Ice Blast, it's blue, I like it. Bob's your uncle. It could also be white because cold damage in D&D using the system. Cold damage is either white, blue, or green. So we could potentially make a white. This could be a white effect. This could be a blue. It could be green. It's icy cold. It's Icy Blast. It's in blue. We're leaving it in blue for now. Cheers. But like if we did like a water or air theme, Icy Blast could fit in both air and water elements. Mutate. Thank you. Yeah, but a lot more complicated. Yeah. Mutate, thank you. Icy Blast, Spicy, great. So that one worked. So let's just keep going. How are we doing? Where's my timer at? How are we doing? It stopped for some reason. Let's get it going again. And hold on, I'm just checking up on my shit here real quick. Sorry. It is Saturday after all. Things happen in the world on Saturdays. Let me see where I am at. Okay, all is right in the world. I ran across a YouTube video this morning that said this is what ambient music is supposed to feel like. It was an hour-long AI-created music mix, and it's some of the best fucking ambient music I've ever heard. I literally just really enjoyed listening to it. I was actually very surprised. I'll post a link to it in my Discord channel when we're done. But it is by far my favorite focused ambient music that I've heard probably in years. I was shocked, I tell you, how accurate that was. I think AI is going to figure out our emotional cadence and is going to be able to rock us in the future. Hold on, I'll be right back. I just want to get a little bit more coffee. I am pretty certain that a decade from now, AI is going to be able to replicate euphoria. It's going to be dangerous. Basically, stick a program in your head and dopamine, like a dopamine cascade that will raise forever. It'll burn out your cortex, but it'll be entertaining while it lasts. I doubt it will. I don't know, man. Music and films can move people with emotions. And there's a very set formula that does that. There's a musical sequence that causes you to get set up. There's the pacing of the narrative and the story that progresses that can consistently bring people to tears through a storyline. It won't work on everybody, of course, but a lot of people cried during Lion King, for instance. It was pulling at very specific heartstrings that can be quantified. But hey, we'll find out. This is just why I'm proposing. If AI can figure out whale language, it can probably figure out our emotional cadence. I think that a decade from now, they won't be able to continue spending hundreds of billions to barely improve AI. Yeah, no, they won't. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's not supernatural, but it can open things. It can open things up. They are also tracking. They're also mapping the mind of people on DMT, and that's a really interesting conversation. I'm going to hold that conversation for when I'm doing artwork during the week, because I don't have to. I can't do D&D game design and have metaphysical conversations at the same time, but I can do art and have metaphysical conversations at the same time. So I'll go ahead and put a bookmark on that, and we'll get back to it. So, Icy Blast, I think that worked out really well. Illusion of choice. So you choose how each player votes this turn. Draw a card. Yeah, okay, skip that. Gale Blade. Oh my god, that art is sick. Jellyfish Warrior, get the fuck out of here. That's hardcore. Flash, flying, sacrifice this creature, draw a card. That's cool. Alright. But there's nothing there for us. That reminds me of a Lithid a lot. Image Crafter. Creature card in general, but choose a creature type other than legend or wall. Target creature type becomes that type. Okay, that's a polymorph effect. Increasing confusion. Ooh, that's got potential. Target player puts top X cards of his or her library into his graveyard. If increasing confusion was cast from the graveyard, player puts twice that many cards. Flashback. You can cast this card again and then exile it. Cool flavor, but we already have confusion as a spell. Yeah, we're gonna skip it. Hey, what's up? I think if you retire, you might need to become a priest because you want metaphysical conversations every week. That's a lot of Phil's personal drive comes from metaphysical realization. I am probably very much a mystic shaman type of person. So, but I try to. I would say I'm more shamanic because I'm actively attempting to integrate these ideas into how I actually live my normal life. I want to be. I aspire to be one of those ascended NPCs that just does what they do because they know what they do is what they're destined to do, and that they can be content with whatever cog role they play in the great machinery of life. That I find contentment in my own turns, my own cycles, and the things that I mesh with just naturally turn with me. And I want to be able to accept that I am a wheel that also helps guide the rhythm. And the more I can find myself in that space, the more content I am with who I am. The more I find that opens up my creativity and it allows me to relax into possibilities and to see beyond what is obvious. And I think that's a really big factor in how I build my art and how I build design and how I treat my friends and how I look for optimization solutions like in my day job. I think it all kind of curves into the same philosophy together. So yeah, I guess you're right. You hear that voice and they're guiding your path. Yeah, truly. I like to think. But all honesty aside, let's continue on, Index. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. Yeah, it's very meta. We're going to skip that. Inevitable Betrayal. Hello.
Suspend. Ooh, suspend 3 rather than cast this card. Oh yeah, we looked at this recently. Suspended spell. Let's go back and look at suspended spell again. Suspended spell. Now we have a chance to look at it again. Let's look at it again. When you cast a spell, you can choose to suspend. Completing it indefinitely by maintaining concentration on it. You can finish casting at any time, no action required. If you lose concentration before the spell finishes casting, you can make a spell casting check DC 10 plus the level of the spell or effect. If you fail, the mana is lost. If you succeed, you regain the expended mana. Period. There. Okay, so suspend works. Wait. Search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield under your control. Then that player shuffles. Inevitable betrayal. Yeah, that makes sense. That would basically be like a suggestion spell effect or gesh, command, the friend's cantrip. All those kind of translate into this betrayal sort of feeling. But we could do something with it. Like, say, as a first level feature, we could design something like... How about something like this? Hold on. If there are gods out there, I do hope they showed me good morals, that I really am accepting of others and see them as people just like me who want what I want. Hey, right on. Let's see. Inevitable betrayal. When you cast, when a creature, when you target a creature with a spell or effect that, how about let's do it this way instead. When you force a creature to make a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, they save with disadvantage. Or when saving to end these conditions, they save with this. They roll with disadvantage. That's a very eloquence bard sort of feeling, but inevitable betrayal when you force a creature to make a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, or when saving to end these conditions. Or when a creature makes a save to end. I need to specify from an effect that I do. When I force a creature to make a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, or when that creature, there it is. Or when that creature makes a save to end these conditions.
they roll with disadvantage. I think that's self-contained enough. And it's a low-level feature, so like this would add on to like spell effects that like the Eloquence Bard gains Charmed and Frightened, gets access to limited spells like that. But anyone could take those effects, or there's multiple powers that charm and frighten creatures. So there's a lot of stuff in all the kits that anyone can take to make that relevant. So Inevitable Betrayal is something that I don't necessarily know if that's the best name. We might find a better one. But we'll leave it for now. Infiltrate. It's unblockable this turn. Yeah, okay. We'll skip that. Ingenious Prodigy. Skulk. Can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Oh, that's really cool. That still basically boils down to disengage. How about that feels like a third rank power? Maybe it's second rank. Let's try second rank. Let's see how that fits. Let's play with it. I like the idea of Skulk. So instead, let's go with Skulk. You can maintain. How do I want to do this? No, it's really God. It's really just kind of a sanctuary spell effect, isn't it? Like can't attack me. Has to make a saving. Sanctuary is if someone wants to attack me, they have to make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they can't. Once they finally succeed, they're immune to the effect. But while they keep failing their saving throw, Sanctuary continues to work against them. The idea of Skulk in general is you can't make opportunity attacks against me, like disengage. So the space between Sanctuary and disengage to me is you can't make you can't take reactions against me if you fail a wisdom saving throw. But Sanctuary is only I think Sanctuary is a first level spell, isn't it? Yeah, first level spell, Sanctuary. But it only targets one creature. This Skulk would be a global effect. I can't be reacted to. That's probably worth third rank. But it's not necessarily worth 3 mana to maintain concentration on, though. But it feels like it would be a concentration effect. I'm thinking 2 mana concentration. I think that feels right. As a when you can expend 2 blue mana as a perpetual as a concentration effect. If you do, any creature attempting to target you as a reaction must succeed a wisdom saving throw. Any creature attempting to target you as a reaction must succeed a wisdom saving throw to do so. That's not necessarily the greatest language, but it gets the point across. I like that. Second level concentration, but you get it at 9th level where you'd have at least access to 3rd, if not 5th level spells. So Skulk won't eat up all of your concentration, but it will eat some of it. And it's a concentration effect, not a sustained power. With no duration. There you go. So you can maintain concentration on this for as long as you want, and while you do, creatures have to make a wisdom saving throw to target with a reaction. It's not once they react, they succeed, you're good. It's no, you're the one that's maintaining concentration. If they hit you with that reaction, like if it's an OA, they might disrupt it because you fail your concentration check. But anyway, Skulk, that's a good one. Hey, look at that. We're borrowing off of class features. Or creature abilities. I'm okay with it. Intervene. Counter a target spell for creature. Into the Flood Maw. Ooh. Gift a trap fish. You may promise an opponent a gift as you cast the spell. If you do, they create a tapped 1/1 blue fish creature. Return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. If the gift was promised, instead return target non-land permanent to an opponent controlled. Okay, we're going to skip that. Invasive Surgery. Okay. Counter spell, sure. Delirium. Okay, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, search the graveyard, hand, and library for that spell's controller. Of that spell's controller for any number of cards within the same with the same name as that spell. Exile these cards. Then that player shuffles his. Okay, we're gonna skip that. That's heavy meta. Jace's Phantasm. This is a proper name, but the ability might be okay. Hey, look, Spirit Jellyfish. My Spelljammer Eberron team on Wednesdays is currently fighting Space Jellyfish. Jace's Phantasm gets +4/+4 as long as an opponent has 10 or more cards in their graveyard. Interesting. No, I mean, the card itself we're not going to use because it's a creature card, but... Okay, here's what I'm thinking. A full caster gets, like at 20th level, a wizard gets 80 mana. We could potentially have an effect that goes something like... For every 10 points of mana that you've already expended, you can automatically upcast a spell by 1. So if we go through 70 mana and we only have 10 mana left, I could potentially cast a first level spell as an 8th level upcasting for only 1 mana. That's really powerful. So it might have to be more like 20 mana. If it's 10 mana, then half casters have a chance to use it. They could upcast a spell for free after they've spent 10 mana, so they'd still be able to cast 2nd to 5th level spells. I like that, but that's a crazy powerful ability. But I like the idea of it. What's not blue? Tell me what's not blue. In the meantime, Jailbreak Stream. Spree. Choose 2. Okay. That type of idea. Oh, what? Expending mana to upcast for free? You don't think that's not a blue idea? I mean, it's coming off of brain surgery. Invasive surgery. No, invasive surgery is removing cards from the deck so the deck is thinned. Green. Oh, green. You're right. That might make a really... I totally see it. And I wouldn't say... I don't think it's black because you're not sacrificing the mana to get this. You already spent the mana to get this. So I think you're right. I think that would fit into a green space. Thank you. Earning dividends, man. And that feels like a very 4th tier sort of thing to do. So let's throw some question marks after it. Let's see. For every 10 mana that has been expended from your mana pool, you can upcast a spell by 1 level at no extra cost. For example, if you have expended 10 mana and then cast a level 1 spell, it is upcast as a level 2 spell for no Now the question is, should that be limited? This is open. Should that be limited to green mana only? For example, if you expend 10 mana and then cast a level 1 spell by expending 1 green mana, it is automatically upcast. So that would limit it to only green spells being affected this way. This could be a good example of just a universal feature that is going to reward you for going 14 levels into the green subclass. It wouldn't actually require green mana to do so. Natural strength, you can expend 4 mana as a bonus action to increase your strength score to 30 for 1 minute. Like that would be expend 4 green mana specifically. But like this ramping effect, yeah, because ramp is blue, is green, isn't it? God, this is like ramping. Ramp. You know, maybe that's a good name for it, maybe it's not. But for now, we'll just pencil it in as ramp. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, God, that's fun. I love this shit, man. These things are so fun. Look at this huge stack of shit that we're building that we can just make things with. So fun. Okay, let's get out of here. So, jump. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. That's basically abundance. Oh, there's already a jump spell. K9 Mark 1 creature card. Okay, let's look at I've never looked at the K9 card, but I love the 4th Doctor where K9 was at in Doctor Who. The 4th Doctor, the Jelly Baby Scarf Maniac, was by far my favorite Doctor, but it was also the first Doctor that I watched live on PBS when I was 5 years old back in 1980. So I was kind of predisposed to Doctor Who number 4. So negative affirmative. As long as K9 Mark 1 is untapped, other legendary creatures you control have ward 1. Okay, affirmative. For 2 mana, tap. Target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn. Target Doctor's Companion. You can have 2 commanders in the other if the other is the Doctor. I love that. That's honestly super cool flavor that we're not going to utilize at all. But it's super cool. Kyora's Dismissal. Proper name. We won't keep the name, but let's see what it does. Strive. Kyora's Dismissal costs 1 mana more to cast for each target beyond the first. That's just upcasting, so that doesn't really matter. Return any number of target enchantments to their owner's hands. Okay, that's basically like Dispel, so we're going to skip it. Love the great flavor, just mechanically it's already been covered. Kraken Hatchling, we'll skip that. Lady Octopus, Inspired Inventor. Oh, that's cool. As opposed to what, Doc Ock? Whenever you draw your first or second card each turn, put an Ingenuity encounter on Lady Octopus. Tap. You may cast an artifact spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the number of Ingenuity counters on Lady Octopus without paying its mana. Oh, this is just a stacking effect. So the more mana I spend, the more Ingenuity I gain. The higher my Ingenuity, the more artifact cards I can cast for free. Honestly, this combined with ramp for an artificer would be really cool. Like for an artificer, it would be like for every 5 points of mana that I've expended, I can infuse an additional artifact, or I can for every 5 points of mana that I've expended as a bonus action, I can create another. I can replicate another magic item. Would be how that artificer language works. And that could be like a replicator artificer subclass, replicator, as opposed to calligrapher, armorer, replicator. Fuck, that's kind of cool. And
That's a very Izzet sort of feeling. So I'm going to take a quick tangent down here. Like, this is an example of like an ultra specific subclass option, but it would be horrible to publish this on the DMsGuild because it just wouldn't fucking sell. But for every 5 mana expended from the mana pool, you can replicate. You can replicate 1 additional magic item you have plans for. Period. Not ironic, the second tier Artificer subclass feature is gained at 5th level. So I could expend all 5 mana from my mana pool to get an extra magic item that my character gets access to. That's super cool. For every 5 mana expended from the mana pool, you can replicate 1 additional magic item you have plans for. When you regain mana, these replicated items disappear. For every 5 mana expended from the mana pool, you can use a bonus action to replicate 1, because normally you can only do it at the end of a long rest. I spent 5 mana. I can now use a bonus action to replicate another magic item, just create it into being because I've spent 5 mana. That is super fucking cool. That's juiced, man. I love that. Okay. Good times. Thanks, Lady Octopus. Like, this is an example of how, like, a specific character class feature, like, this is the example of, like, a specific subclass for a specific class. Like we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the session, we were talking about how we structure subclass options from general to more specific, access to more specific. This is an example of ultra specific. It has to be an Izzet Artificer. So if you use blue-red and you have the Artificer sub, and you take this subclass feature as an Artificer, you can now pick up Replicator, for instance. And there's no limit to how many of these super specific, like Lantern Bearer, could be a specific subclass. It almost has like a Warhammer Fantasy prestige class feel. Like Ratcatcher was like a 4-level prestige class in Warhammer that was super good because I think it gave you an extra attack in 3rd edition. So like Warhammer was the original source of prestige classes, I believe, and 3rd edition D&D picked it up and then ran with it. And then dropped it in 4th edition. Anyway, Larder Zombie. That is also a ability, a creature card, Defender. Tap 3. What is Defender? MTG Defender. I think it's you don't tap, or rather, yeah, you don't tap. Is a static keyword ability that prevents a creature. Oh no, it prevents a creature from attacking while they cannot go on the offense. While these creatures still block, use activated ability and trigger passive effects. Thank you. Can't attack. Yeah, like walls are defenders, right? No, walls just have deal 0 damage. Is there something we want to do with defender? It's supposed to be advantageous. What it is, I believe what it is it allows you to put more juice on a card than it should normally get because it has reduced action economy. So like an example, probably a good example of like what defender would be like for every attack, when you take the attack action, for every attack that you sacrifice, gain +2 to your armor class until the beginning of your next turn. So like an 11th level fighter could sacrifice 3 attacks and gain a +6 to their armor class, which could potentially be stacked with a shield reaction to give them an extra +5 bonus until the end of their turn. So like between defender, sacrificing all of your attacks, and then using the shield spell when you need to as defense, you could get a rocking +11 to your armor class. It's not a bad idea. Originally, these cards were given the wall type, and all walls had thank you. God, that history, man. I really appreciate you. Most marshals could sacrifice at most 2 attacks. The monk could sacrifice both attacks with defender and still use flurry of blows for their bonus action to still make 2 attacks, but they're not using the attack action to make those attacks. So they'd be capped at a +4 armor class bonus. But you could the monk or a rogue specifically could sacrifice their attacks to ramp their armor class and then take the dodge action so that all attacks are at disadvantage with your higher armor class. I actually like that a whole lot. But would that be that doesn't necessarily feel like a subclass feature? That feels more like a martial power more than anything else. Or like a fighting style. I think Defender already has a fighting style title, isn't it? Defender is like a feat or a fighting style. I like that though. Oh, it's just defense. And what does the defense fighting style do? Let's check it out again real quick. While wearing some sort of armor, you get a +1 bonus to your armor class. Let's make it a ooh. Okay, let's do that. We can pick this up. We're just gonna put it down here at the end. We're gonna go with hold on. I think we have up here. I think we have just like miscellaneous stuff. Yeah, modified feats. Boon of Mana Regeneration, that's an epic feat. Mana Restoration is a epic boon. No, it replaces the Path of the Lich feat. That's right, we were playing with path feats. Let's go with this one. Let's go with Fighting Style. Defender. When you take the attack action, you can choose to sacrifice 1 or more attacks. For each attack sacrificed this way, increase your armor class by +2 until the beginning of your next turn. Attacks gained from bonus actions or masteries such as Nick and Cleave can't be sacrificed this way. Attacks gained from bonus actions such as Flurry of Blows or masteries such as Nick and Cleave can't be sacrificed this way. There you go. So, new fighting style. Well done. Defender. And we can just add that to martial powers when we get around to building martial powers out. Mana Regeneration, Mana Restoration, Fighting Style, Defender. Cool, let's keep on. I love doing this. God, I love this stuff. Is so fun. Leap, target creature gains flying until the end of the turn is basically the same as jump. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. Okay. I guess you could have 8 cards in your deck if you really want to be a jumpy, leapy kind of guy. But all that basically gets covered by Abundant Step. And there's also the jump spell, of course. But for those that don't know,
Abundant Step is a second level exploit. So for 2 mana, you can channel this exploit as part of a move action. So while I'm moving, I spend 2 mana to become an Abundant Step. I gain flying. I gain a fly speed equal to my move speed until the end of my turn. If I do not end my turn on a surface or liquid that can support me, I fall as normal. And for 1 extra mana, I can double my flight speed. For 3 mana, I can triple my flight speed. And for 5 mana, I can quadruple my flight speed. This proved to be a big problem when we were playing Eldritch Rugby. Because the arena, the arena is only basically 200 feet from side to side, and it's, like from goal to goal is only about 120 feet. So you could triple your flight speed and basically jump over everybody. Like if you're a barbarian, you could basically jump over everybody using your fast movement, base speed of 40, triple it to get 120 of flight to just basically curve over everybody, get to the goalpost, and throw it for a goal. So when we update stuff for when we start integrating this stuff into the Eldritch Rugby rules that we built, we're going to have to get rid of the Abundant Step kicker effects, but we will definitely keep Abundant Step in there because that fly speed was super useful for being able to like bounce over walls and effects and being able to circumnavigate targets. It's useful enough to keep, but we have to curb the kicker effect. In normal D&D, when it's PvE against monsters, these movement speed boosts are actually really helpful. So we'll keep those in effect. But jump, leap, they're all covered by Abundant Step or the jump spell itself. So I feel no need to expand on that, though it's great art. Loose Lips. That's awesome. For Krosa. Enchant creature, a loose lips. As loose lips comes into play, choose a sentence. Okay, that's meta. That's just what is it? Unmade or whatever. The prankster cards. Lost in a Labyrinth. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn, and then scry 1. Okay, that's basically like maze or weird. We don't need to worry about that. What's up? Abundant Step might have like plus 15 on the kickers. There's a bunch of those cards. You can probably have like 40 jump cards in your deck. So sacrifice, we don't use proper names, but if the card is good, we'll keep the mechanic and throw question marks behind it. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a legendary creature, counter target activity. Counter target activated ability, trigger ability. Okay, that's basically countering strike. As a reaction, we have second rank, I think. Yeah, countering attack. A creature within range. The trigger effect is a creature within range of your weapon attack uses the magic action, casts a spell, or channels a power. And then the response is you hit them. And your attack roll becomes their DC, their saving throw. And if they fail, it gets shut down. Magical hack. Change the text of target permanent or spell by replacing all instances of one basic land type with another. Okay, we'll skip that. That's basically like elemental admixture or like elemental modification where you can switch the damage type on a spell. That's essentially what it's doing. Magic Damper. Target creature you control gets hexproof and bonus to attack and attack. And you untap it. That's a really cool card. Most of these mechanics are already covered. Hexproof is already an ability that we have in here. Which hexproof is if you get targeted by a spell effect, they have to succeed a saving throw or target somebody else or waste the ability. Kind of like hexproof is like a more universal. It's basically like a sanctuary spell effect. Enchanted creature gets a cumulative upkeep +1, so it's going to continue to ramp. Mana chains. Oh, got it. You enchant the creature and it becomes more and more expensive for them to maintain that summon. Yeah, we generally aren't doing those sort of effects because we don't deal a lot of summoning creatures. We could build a summoning deck, but this is super niche. I like the idea of like we were talking about earlier, like a Witherbloom Hedgewitch. Like that would be like a Witherbloom Hedgewitch would be kind of like an off necromancer that can summon pests.
that you could expend mana to bring in minions that you could then use to attack as a mob, or you could sacrifice them to trigger effects.
So we'll eventually get around to doing the Sedge Witch. That'll definitely be on that'll be a Patreon thing. Manta Riders. God, that's a cool card. This is very much a Battle Chasers sort of moment. Hold on. If you aren't familiar with Battle Chasers, Red, Sonia. Oh, Red Monica. Thank you. Red Monica. Manta Ray. Let's see if I can get that specific. So Battle Chasers is it was a short-lived comic book that was about as Eberron as Eberron. There was a question on Friday, yesterday morning, about like what are different media sources that are very Eberron. And I didn't think of Battle Chasers at the time, but Battle Chasers is by far like the most Eberron fucking thing that I've ever seen. Like, go check out the Eberron comics. Eberron comics are fucking amazing. There it is. This is they were attacking a sky prison, and this is one of the cells from the mantas that they were riding. So you got the little kits of the helms here. Oh yeah, I can get used to this. This is a fun scene. Anyway, Battle Chasers. Cover art. By Joe Mariori. Jason Mariora. That's all right. A Gathering of Heroes. Battle Chasers was the coolest fucking comic book series I have ever seen. Absolutely fucking loved it. Let's see. What's another cool book cover? This one's a good one. Goalie the little girl had epic gloves. They were like basically like artifact level ogre gauntlets that could do all sorts of shit. And her sidekick was a war titan, and Nolan was a wizard sidekick. And there was a paladin, and Monica was the rogue. Man, this was a cool series. Definitely recommend checking out Battle Chasers. Super, super cool. Anyway, I digress. Mantle of the Tides, artifact. We skip artifacts in general. March of Swirling Mist. Okay. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way, up to X target creatures phase out. And then they phase back in again. But it's, yeah. Mark of Eviction. Enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature to and all auras attached to that creature to its owner's hand. That's basically an exile spell. This is also basically an exile spell. We already have banishment spells and flicker and all that other stuff. Martyr of Frost, creature card. Reveal blue cards. Counter spell. Skip it. Mask of the Mimic. That's going to be an artifact card. We'll skip that. Hey, we reached the end of a page. So it is Saturday morning. It is 11:45. We still have time. I finished another page, so we're going to move on to the next page. But I'm going to take a break from doing this, and I'm going to tangent into another project for a little bit. But we're going to come back to this, and we're going to pick up with Mausoleum Wanderer. But before we do, where is? Hold on. What the hell? What happened to my? What happened to Eldritch Rugby? Why isn't it on the list? Hold on. I may have put it into the wrong folder, so I'm gonna go search for it real quick. Nope, not there.
Let's go to the orbital campaign. Maybe it's in there. XCOM, Mecha Kaiju, Bashing campaigns, Spelljammer document, XCOM, Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs, Bashing campaign, Spelljammer Subclasses, which is the book that we're currently working on. XCOM, okay, it's not in here. Let's close that group. Let's go look for Mage Tower. Okay, I'm going to go hunting real quick. Hold on, I'm going to blip out my screen real fast so I can go hunt offline. And we'll be right back to find Strix, because we're going to work on some Strix Tower stuff. So give me a hot second to go hunt it down. I'm going to go to the Eldritch Rugby rules on my Discord channel. I just don't want to show any names of anybody that's hanging out on different channels on my server, just to respect their privacy. But I should be able to find the rules. There it is. Okay, got it. Okay. There, Eldritch Rugby. This belongs in the Martial Powers folder, and for some reason it fell out. Martial Powers, Eldritch Rugby. Okay, so Eldritch Rugby is a 5e or 5.5e PvP arena system. Most people, when they do PvP, what happens is they build 20th level characters, and then they have a square box, and they put two opposing characters, and they mash them together until one. And then you do it again and again and again until there's a King of the Mountain in it. Honestly, it's pretty goddamn boring. Everything that's wrong with D&D combat is amplified by PvP arenas. Because in PvP arena, the only win condition that exists is kill the enemy. And both of you are using the same amount of action economy at a level that you did not earn, that you do not know how to control unless you've spent a lot of time running 20th level PvP characters. In which case you have an opportunity to become familiar with what the abilities can do, know what to use when, and sequence well. That's horrible. It goes against everything that every Dungeon Tuber and Reddit channel says. What makes good combat? The answer is not put them in a small box and have one drain hit points from the other first. That is the absolute worst kind of combat. It's crap. But it's the only type of PvP experience that's ever been offered in D&D that I am aware of. I have searched high and low and have never found a PvP sport available outside of Blood Bowl and Warhammer. Even in Strixhaven Mage Tower, as part of Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos, which introduces the Mage Tower sport to D&D, it's just an ability check. It's a skill challenge. Everyone rolls an ability check, add up your results, and if your result is higher than the enemy team, you win the match. It's over in one die roll, and it's highly unsatisfying. So we took Mage Tower and converted it into a 5e combat PvP arena system where the goal isn't to kill the enemy, but to score points, like you would in rugby. So we've been building out the rules for how rugby works, using the 5e game engine, knowing that there's spell casting and powers and class features and all the violent shit that your characters can do. So we've been building a curated list of what would be legal in like Olympian Strixhaven, and we've scratched off the serial numbers because it's different enough from what Strixhaven Mage Tower is presented as that we've basically created a separate thing that isn't Mage Tower, but it's adjacent to Mage Tower that we are calling Eldritch Rugby. There's a ball, you fight over the ball, you throw the ball at a goalpost. If you hit the goalpost, you score a point. If you hit the goalpost and deal damage to the goalpost, you score a point. And then everyone resets, and then you either do this for an hour, and whoever has the most points at the end of the hour wins, or we have found generally that whoever reaches, like, say, 3 out of 5 points first, or even 2 out of 3 points, can be a fast match, but it could require like 8 or 9 rounds to resolve. So like a 3-point match, each point that you gain in this Eldritch Rugby or in Strixhaven Mage Tower in general, using this 5e PvP system, generally takes around 3 rounds to score a point. So a 3-point match where best 2 out of 3 points is the winner, that's going to take you probably around 9, maybe 10 rounds of combat to finish. And depending on what level your character are at, it's going to take more time. A 5th level character can probably do like best 3 out of 5 points. And then after 2 points, you go into half time. You take a short rest to get resources back, and then at the end of 5, whoever gets to the 3 points out of 5 first, that ends the game. Long rest, start anew with either new characters or just rematch. So what we've been doing on the side here, as one of our projects, is buffing out all this stuff, Eldritch Rugby spell list. So I'm going to take a tangent here real quick, because when we last left off, we were working through 5th level spells. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here and go through all the spells that are in the player's handbook and curate which ones do we want to keep and which ones are questionable, which ones do we want to remove, which ones do we want to keep, and which ones do we want to get rid of. Question marks means you can take it, but it's not going to be helpful in the game. Like, message isn't going to help you in a match of Eldritch Rugby, like, at all. But you could still take it if you want it as a spell selection. It's just not going to hurt you. But like Shillelagh, you don't get to bring weapons and equipment in other than your uniform and your sneakers. You don't bring weapons in with you. So we have replacements for damage for martial types. But like Shillelagh wouldn't be a legal spell because you can't bring a stick in with you. Unless we made Eldritch Rugby into Eldritch Hockey. In which case, everyone has a hockey stick, which would act as a simple bludgeoning weapon that does D4 damage. Shillelagh would up it to D8 force damage. Yeah, there you go. So X's are, you logically can't use that spell in Eldritch Rugby. Question mark is you could use it, but it's not gonna. You could have it prepared, but it's not going to do you any good. Like Alarm, that's worthless. Animal Friendship, there's no animals for you to fuck around with, so that's worthless. Find Familiar, you can't bring allies, you can't offside, so you can't bring in allies, that's worthless. Goodberry, you can't bring in berries to the battlefield with you, so Goodberry makes no sense for you to use. But like if you're not playing Olympian Rugby, where you're just playing street rugby, where the rules are whatever you can get away with, then yeah, you can keep a pocket full of Goodberries to pop as a bonus action to eat one to get hit points back if you want to during a match of rugby, for instance. But like in the arena, that would be illegal. So we've been breaking down the list. I just ran out of music, so I need to refresh my list. Leaf on the Wind. So I'm going to take a break from doing spell conversions, and we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at our list of spells and deciding which of them are good or bad. So let's go to the rules of D&D, and let's go to spells, and then let's show the advanced features, and then we're going to go to category is going to be 5.5e core. We're going to filter those spells. It's going to give them all to us. We're going to sort them by level. Alphabetical and level is the easiest way to curate this stuff. So let's go to, it's probably going to be like 15. Let's go to 20. And then back it down to 15. There we go. So we left off. So I'm going to finish this magic list just so we have the full curated list, so I can provide a reduced list. Generally, what also isn't allowed are anything that requires material components that are either consumed or cost money. So like Glyph of Warding costs like diamond dust or whatever to use. So you don't get to use Glyph of Warding. It also has a casting time of an hour. It's like that's not practical for a 10-round match. It's like that just doesn't make sense. Lehman's Hut. That requires, I think, like a glass dome. Join can't use that. Let's see. So we're going to go to
Greater Restoration, that's where we're at. So I'm going to finish up the spell list. There's not that many spells left from level 5+. Like, that's it. It caps out at 422. And we're at 297. So basically 120 spells is all we got to look at. That'll go by pretty quickly. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go back to our blue list. So, Greater Restoration. Let's check it out. Diamond Dust worth 100 gold pieces, so we can't use Greater Restoration. But let's take a quick tangent and go just look at Lesser Restoration. Yeah, it requires no magical and it requires no components at all. Just BS. BS, no BS. Hallow. Casting time is 24 hours, so that's going to be an XXX. Hold person should be fine. Hold monster. Straight piece, like that's a spell component that can be replaced with a component's pouch. And the arena itself is considered a component's pouch or an arcane focus. So the arena itself is an arcane focus. If it doesn't require consumable or expensive material items, it can be substituted for just being on the arena. Choose a creature that you can see within range. The target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or have the paralyzed condition for the duration. At the end of each of its turns, the target repeats the save, ending the spell on itself on a success. And I mean, you can use it. It might not, if everyone's a humanoid in the game, it doesn't matter, but you could technically use it. So I'm going to put a question mark next to it, being like it's debatable whether you need that or not. Insect Plague, I think, creates insects. That's a no. Swarming Locusts fill a 20-foot sphere centered on a point that you can choose. The sphere remains for the duration, and its area is lightly obscured in difficult terrain. When the swarm appears, each creature in it makes an... Oh, no, this is okay. We can use that because it's just an area of effect. This is basically like Conjure Animals. It just deals damage in an area. In it, pinch of phosphorus. You unleash a storm of flashing light and raging thunder in a 10-foot radius, 40-cylinder high. 40-foot cylinder centered on a point that you can see within range while in the area. Creatures are blinded and deafened. No, that one's fine. And then Legend Lore. See, these things go by pretty quickly. Legend Lore wouldn't make any sense to use. Plus, I think it has an expensive material component. Yep. So, XXX cannot use. Mass Cure Wounds should be fine. It's probably just VS. Yeah, VS. It's fine. Mislead. That might be okay. It might have a component that's expensive. Is it just... Oh, it's just S. Nice. So Mislead is fine. You gain the invisible condition at the same time as creating an illusory double that you appear on your standing. As a magic action, you can move the illusory double up to twice your speed and make it just your speed. Can behave in whatever way you choose. It is intangible and invulnerable. You can see through its eyes and hear through its ears as if you were... Okay, you could take this, but it doesn't have any actual like real value in the game because it's a PvP, which means everyone knows where you are. Everyone knows if you're invisible where you're still at on the battlefield. It's just that they have disadvantage to attack you and they have advantage to attack you. You're at disadvantage to attack them and they have advantage, but you'll still see where they are on the arena because it's PvP and there doesn't have to be a DM participating to make the game work. It is a DM-free game system for PvP combat that has rules of engagement that we're not allowed to commit fouls of violating. If we're playing in a D&D campaign and we insert rugby into the campaign, we can do things like foul and cheat and sneak in items we're not supposed to have. We can cheat the system, but if it's true, uniform PvP, everyone is equal, we have a lot of guardrails in place to keep it quote-unquote fair. But inside of a live campaign where characters are reacting to encounters and challenges, you may very well make it unfair. Like, this might be an Olympian sport in-game, but that doesn't prevent the NPCs like from cheating somehow, like sneaking items in to kill you with or whatever. But you have to catch them and prove that they did it to be able to call them out. You have absolute sport independent of the game engine. It runs without a DM because the rules are self-reinforcing. Though it's useful to have a referee on hand to
to resolve disputes and to make judgment calls. Ideally, when this system is perfected and we put it out as a Kickstarter, all those rules will be resolved so that you don't need a referee to make judgment calls for you. It'll all be self-referential. That's the goal anyway. So modify memory. Yeah, you can take modify memory, but why bother?
No material components. It's just
VS? Yeah, I mean, technically you could take it, but why bother? Pass wall, there are no walls, so why would you bother? I'm putting question marks next to things that say, why would you bother taking this during PvP? It's not practical for you to take that. You may as well skip it. So whatever doesn't have a mark next to it, like Mass Cure Wounds, Drolazzle Storm, Insect Plague, these are spells that we would, like these 3 spells out of these 8, we would actually have on the list. So it's going to be a much smaller curated list of spells that we'll be selecting from when we create pre-made athletes to offer for people to use when we start doing this at conventions like PAX, Unplugged, Emerald City Comic Con, maybe Gary Con, blah blah blah. If I take this out and start doing convention circuit stuff with it for fun. So that's what Kelsey did with Shadow Dark. I'm thinking about doing the same thing here with the Eldritch Rugby game. It's just a PvP 5e game mechanics. Everyone knows how 5e works. We introduced these additional mechanics to make it a sport, and now your PvP isn't just being in a box killing each other. It's, yeah, you can kill each other, but that just helps you score points. Anyway, back at it. Planar binding probably doesn't matter. And it's expensive, so XXX, can't use it. Raise Dead requires gold. Can't use it. XXX. Rary's Telepathic Bond. 2 eggs. That's fine. You forge a telepathic link among up to 8 characters of your choice. Like, you could take this, but why bother? Because everyone's going to communicate with each other anyway, and it's all going to be above board at the table, and everyone's going to be able to hear the conversation amongst each other. So that's kind of irrelevant. Reincarnate. Gold value, XXX. Scrying, gold value. Right? Yep, gold value, XXX. Seeming. You give an illusionary appearance to each creature of your choice that you can see within range, an unwilling creature you can make. You could take, it's going to change what you look like. It doesn't hide your actions or anything. So, like, you could take this, but why bother? That's a question mark. Steel and Strike is absolutely useful. However, Steel and Strike requires you to bring an item in with it. So, a melee weapon worth 1 plus silver piece. We're actually going to put an asterisk on that. Because if you're holding the ball, you can technically use it as an improvised weapon. And it costs more than 1 copper piece. So, technically, you could use Steel and Strike if you are equipping the ball when you use it. We loosen Steel and Strike so that you can use, like a monk, for example, their unarmed attacks are considered weapons worth 1 copper piece or more for feats and spell effects. So a monk, if they had somehow access to Steel and Strike, could use their unarmed attacks to trigger Steel and Strike without actually holding a weapon. So that would qualify, but anyway. Summon Celestial, that's not going to work because it brings a creature into the battlefield with you. That is offsides, plus it costs gold. No. Summon Dragon, I think is going to be the same. It brings a dragon into effect, plus it probably costs, yep, no. Swift Quiver is worthless because you can't bring in equipment, so that's no. Synaptic Static might have a value. Nope. 1 action, VS. You cause psychic energy to erupt at a point within range. Each creature in a 20-foot sphere contend at this point makes an intelligence saving throw, taking psychic damage. On a failed save, the target has muddled thoughts for 1 minute. During that time, it subtracts 1d6 from all its attack rolls and ability checks. Oh no, Synaptic Static's great. We're gonna keep that in effect. I love that. TK we know is good. I don't think it costs anything to use it. Yes, just what, S? VS. Good. Teleportation Circle costs money and it's worthless anyway. XXX. Oh, wait. XXX. This is Telekinesis is okay. Tree Stride. There's no trees, so never mind. Wall of Force should be okay, but it might have a material component cost. Nope. And again, the rules of walls is that you can't enclose, like in a dome or in a sealed box, the goalposts so that it can't be attacked. That's illegal. But you can create a maze that characters have to either somehow get over or have to go through to get to the goalpost. As long as there's a path for them to take, it's allowed. So you can set up like a wall of stone, wall of force. These can both be used to like set up like a Tron light cycle maze that you have to run through to get to the goalpost. Super cool. It's had limited success in playtest games that we've ran, but it's still fun. Wall of force. Let's check if wall of stone has a material component cost or not. No, March isn't an exile, so it's a phasing spell. Phase is phasing. You did already. Right. And tower defense rules. Yeah. Spell is wall of stone. No cost. There you go. And Yolanda's Regal Presence should be fine. No cost. VSM. A miniature tiara. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. It doesn't get destroyed. It's fine. Surround yourself with an unearthly majesty, 10-foot emanation. Whenever the emanation enters the space of a creature you can see, or whenever a creature enters the space of the emanation or ends its turn there, you can force that creature to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it takes psychic damage and is prone. And you can push it up to 10 feet away on a successful save that takes half as much damage and doesn't get knocked prone or get pushed. So we're now into level 6, Arcane Gate. Arcane Gate has no material cost, a range of 500 feet. You're still limited to be within the range. Last 10 minutes. Portal, two-dimensional glowing ring. A portal is open on only one side. Yeah, you can use that. That's fine. Blade barrier. I think it requires a weapon, which is going to be a no. Oh, no, it's just VS. Cool. You create a wall of whirling blades made of magical energy. The wall appears within range and lasts for the duration. You make a straight wall up to 100 feet. Okay, yeah, it's just a wall effect. Yep, okay. So a blade barrier is fine. Chain lightning should also be fine, but it might have material cost. Nope. Circle of Death. Is there a material component? Yes, Circle of Death has a material cost, so XXX. Conjure Fey. Conjure Fey, I think, is just an AoE damage effect. It doesn't actually bring critters to you. Lasts for the duration, and it looks like a Fey creature of your choice. When the spell appears, when the spirit appears, you make a 1 melee attack against a creature within 5 feet of it. It takes psychic damage. It has Frightened condition as a bonus action. A later turn, you can teleport the spirit. Okay, so that's just a damage AoE. So the Conjure Fey is fine. Contingency it's a casting time of 10 minutes. It's yeah, that's a no. Create Undead is bring in allies, so that's a no. Disintegrate should be fine, but it might have an expensive material component. Nope, it's good. And yep, Disintegrate's fine. Instant Summons is going to be a no because it brings shit to you. And it costs gold to use, so never mind. Eye Bite probably is fine, but yeah, it's just a VS. Your eyes become inky solid. It become inky void. A creature you can choose within 60 feet of you that you can see must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be affected by one of the effects. Asleep. The target has the unconscious condition. It wakes up if it takes any damage or if another creature takes an action to shake it awake. So that's just, you get dropped and attacked. If you get attacked, you wake up. If somebody runs by and kicks you on the way by, you wake up. That's not a problem. Panicked, frightened condition, that's fine. Frightened creature takes a dash action and moves away from you at the fastest and safest route available. Or sickened, it becomes poisoned. And it makes a saving throw on each of your turns until the spell ends. You take the magic action to target another creature, but can't target a creature again if it has succeeded on a save against the casting of this spell. Panicked. On each of its turns, the frightened creature must make a dash action. For the duration, your eyes become inky black voids. Your creature, you can make C that must succeed on a saving throw. Each of your turns, but can't target a creature again If it succeeded on a saving throw, it wakes up early as the poison condition for the duration. Okay, so it's 1 minute duration. Frightened means you have to take, what is it? You have to take the dash action? On each of its turns, the frightened target must take the dash action and move away from you. Safest and shortest route available. If the target moves to a space at least 60 feet away from you where it can't see you, the effect ends. If the target moves to a space at least 60 feet away from you where it can't see you, so the goalposts in Mage Tower or Elder's Rugby. This is where the goalpost is here's your half court. The ball that you throw has a 40-foot range. It has a 20-foot short range and a 40-foot long range. So it's a disadvantage at this distance. Beyond this, you can't hit the goalpost because the ball's range is too short. But once you get within 40 feet of the goalpost, it's disadvantage. Once you get within 20 feet, it's normal attack. But this is a 5-foot and this is 5-foot elevation. This is 10-foot elevation, and the goalpost itself is 5 feet tall. So the goalpost is 15 feet above the battlefield. That also means if you're here at where it says I, and you hit me with eye bite, and I need to run away, I could run over behind the pyramid. Anywhere behind here, I can't see you anymore, so the frightened effect ends. So if I'm here and you hit me with that, I can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I can no longer see you on the other side. The effect ends. I can then use the dash action to climb back up to the tower and defend again. Basically, it just costs me action economy. So you can always use your tower that you're defending, your goal tower, to block line of sight to end effects, just like this if you need to. So Eye Bite is okay. It's also an 11th level ability, so it's up there. So I'm okay with Eye Bite staying in. It does contract and force your action economy, but it can end. Things that can't end, like Mass Suggestion, for example, is not allowed. Because once you fail the saving throw, there's no way to get out of it unless you can dispel. And that could mean that you can no longer play the game. So I'm fine with you being paralyzed, that you're in the game and you have a chance to end the saving throw each turn. That's fair enough, because you could use Mage Slayer as a feat to automatically succeed that saving throw anytime that you want. But again, Mass Suggestion, once you fail that save, you never succeed. You're always affected by it. It takes you out of the game. That's unfair. Just like Banish takes you out of the game completely and removes you from the battlefield. You have no chance of actually interacting at all until you succeed that saving throw and you're out of the game. But Hold Person, you're paralyzed, you're on the battlefield. Someone could target you to end that dispel effect. While they're banished, you can't. So there's a difference there. So we're denying spells that remove you from the game completely. You can't teleport somebody out of the arena so they're gone. That's not allowed. You can't bury somebody and with imprisonment, they're now out of the game. You can't do that. So there are limitations on fairness during PvP arenas. When it's player versus player, it has to treat each player fairly. But when you're playing as part of a campaign, yeah, you could cast imprisonment on that guy. It would be a foul, and your team will be penalized for cheating. But you've imprisoned that guy. You may have set up this round specifically to get them within range to imprison them. That could have been your whole ploy. So you're playing Mage Tower specifically so you can bait them into being imprisoned. I'll lose the match because I'm cheating, but I still imprisoned you. And in game, that could be something that you're willing to do. But in pure PvP, there is no story. It's just who scores the most points and wins. That is the game loop. Just like playing FIFA Soccer 2026 on Xbox isn't about locker room antics and base building and building teams. No, you're just playing fucking soccer. Anyway. Find the path. Has a gold value, cannot use. Flesh to stone. This is legal.
You attempt. Hold on. You attempt to turn one person you can see in range into stone. This is probably not going to be legal. On a failed save, they become restrained, and if they fail again, they become petrified. If you maintain concentration for this the entire possible duration, the target is petrified until the condition is ended by a greater restoration. What is the rate? Is 1 minute. So if we lose concentration, the petrification ends. Each of its turns, if it successfully saves against the spell 3 times, the spell ends. If it fails, it's saved 3 times. It is turned to stone and has the petrified condition for the duration. The successes and failures needn't be consecutive. Each track spell ends if it fails 3 times. I'm gonna say no because I don't like the petrification being permanent. So we're just gonna drop it. The easier solution is to drop it. Forbiddance. I'm having lock issues. D&D Beyond is not reacting the way that... There it goes. Thank you. Forbiddance. I think that has a material cost. Yep, X. Golem of Invulnerability. Oh, boy. D&D Beyond is responding slowly, my boys. Probably because there's like billions of games going on right now. That's allowed. That's allowed. Immobile Shimmering Barrier Force. Any spell level 5 or lower cast from outside the barrier can't affect anything within it. Similarly, the area within the barrier is excluded from area's effect. 1 level higher. Okay. Yeah, that one's okay. Guards and Wards is probably going to be a no. I think it takes at least an hour to cast it. Yeah. Guards and Wards is a no. Harm. VS. No booster. Deal shitloads of damage. That's okay. Heal. 1 action. VS. No components. Heals a shit point of damage. That one's okay. Hero's Feast is probably going to be a no because it takes 10 minutes and requires stuff. So that's going to be a no. Magic Jar requires material components. That's going to be a no. We talked about Mass Suggestion. It doesn't allow saving throws after the initial save, so that's going to be a no because it's going to completely take you out. And it lasts 24 hours. Your suggested course of activity, like go hide in the corner. There you go. Each target must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw or have the charm condition for the duration, or until you or an ally deal damage to the target. Each charmed target pursues the suggestion to the best of its abilities. The suggested activity continue for the entire duration, but if the suggested activity can be completed in a shorter time, the spell ends. And to 12 or fewer creatures. So this one spell can one-shot an entire team and they're out of the game completely. That's a little bit too good, I think. So I'm going to ban that spell. Move Earth. Like, Suggestion is 1 creature at a time, and they get a save every round. So I think they get a save every round. But like Mass Suggestion, there is no save unless they take damage, and there's no guarantee that anyone's going to be available because you're going to affect 12 targets. It's going to be the entire enemy team, which is typically 5 or less. There would be no one to deal damage to. You will automatically lose. And that is unfun. The target must make a Wisdom saving throw. Charm condition follows the action. Charm to produce the suggested best of his ability. Can continue for the entire duration, but if the suggested ability can be completed in a shorter period of time, the spell ends. Oh yeah, there's no saving throw here. So I think we already made this one illegal. Second level. Yeah, we already banned it because you get 1 saving throw and then you're out. So Mass Suggestion also 1 saving throw, you're out. That's too that's why we banned Banish. Move Earth. No effect. Choose an area of terrain no larger than 40 feet on a side within range. You can reshape dirt, sand, clay in the area
any manner. You can create walls, create pits. That's okay. You can do that. It resets. Everything resets after every point, so it's temporary at best. Utterlick's Resilient Sphere. Freezing Sphere. That should just be damage, but I think it has a material cost. Nope. Damaging Sphere. Deals cold damage. There you go. Okay, yeah. Freezing Sphere is fine. Resistible Dance. No costs. One creature that you can see within range makes a Wisdom saving throw. On a successful save, the target dances. On a failed save, it has a charm condition for the duration. While charmed, the creature dances continuously. Must use all of its movement to dance in place and has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws and attack rolls. And other creatures... Okay, so you can still make attack rolls. Other creatures have an advantage on attack rolls against you. On each of your turns, you can make action to collect yourself and repeat the save. Ending the spell. There you go. So you have a chance to end the spell. So that one's okay. Oh, hey, what's up, Steve? Planar ally. Bring an ally equals no. Yeah, no. Programmed illusion. It's probably going to be a question mark. Like, you could take it, but why? Nope, it has a cost. So that's an XXX equals no. Summon Fiend, XXX equals no. Sunbeam should be fine. No cost. Concentration. Line. Burst. Until the spell ends. You can take magic action to create a new line of radiance. Okay, damage. Okay, I'm good with that one. Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron. Material cost equals no. Transport via plant equals no. True Scene should be fine. Except it has a cost, so equals no. Wall of Fire should be fine. No, Wall of Ice. Thank you. That's fine. Again, it's a wall. You can create a labyrinth, but you can't block access. So that's fine. Wall of Thorns, same thing. You can create a labyrinth, but you can't block access to the goalpost. That is fine. Windwalk allows flight. 8 hours. You and up to 10 willing creatures of your choice within range assume gaseous forms for the duration, appearing as wisps of cloud. While in this cloud effect, the target of the fly spell has a fly speed of 300 feet and can hover. It's immune to the prone condition, and it has resistance to BPS. The only action a target can take in this form is the dash action or a magic action to begin reverting to its normal form. Reverting takes 1 minute. Okay, so you could take this, but why bother? And then Word of Recall teleports you, so that's going to be a no. And then 5 feet instantly teleport to a previously designated sanctuary. Yeah, it's going to be a no because of reasons. Conjure a Celestial is going to be a no because of reasons. Delayed Blast Fireball should be fine, though. A beam of yellow light flashes from you, then condenses at a chosen point within range as a glowing bead for the duration. Beads, yeah, okay, that one's fine. Divine Word, maybe. No material component cost, that's good. You utter a word. Dies. Blinded. Deafened. Huh, okay. You utter a word imbued with power from the upper planes. Each creature of your choice in a range makes a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, a target that has 50 hit points or fewer suffers an effect based on its current hit points, as shown in the Divine Word effects table. Regardless of its hit points, a celestial... Okay, that doesn't matter. Each creature of your choice makes a charisma saving throw, and on a failed save, it dies. I'm okay with that. If you're almost dead already, this is going to kill you. Okay, I'm fine with this. I'm okay with that. Etherealness is a no, because it allows you to leave the plane of existence. Blink, however, is okay. But Etherealness basically makes you check out and not come back. So that doesn't work.
And now page 18, we're now into 7th level spells. This is going to go pretty quickly. We're almost done. At which point we will then reset and we'll start in on the blue cards again. And it's 12:26. Actually, I'm not going to have time for another set of cards. I can finish this lesson. I'm done. I've got things to do at 1 o'clock. So we're going to be done no matter what. So my bad. I thought it was earlier than that, but we're going to finish this list, and then when we come back, whenever it is next time, we're going to continue with the blue cards, probably on Monday. Finger of Death. You deal stupid amounts of necrotic damage, and you won't turn into a zombie. Finger of Death. We're gonna have to give it a no because it turns people into undead. That's not cool. You could argue that you can just nullify the zombie effect, but rules as written, it doesn't qualify. Firestorm. 10-foot cube deals damage. That's cool. Force Cage should be okay, I think. It's a concentration effect. Oh, but it has a material component cost, so never mind. Mirage Arcana. That's fine. 1 mile square. Look, smell, feel. Structures. We're going to say no because it obscures the field. I'm going to just say no to that. And no Dimension because it gives you a hidey space. Mordenkainen's Sword. Has material cost, thank God, so I don't have to contemplate it. Plane Shift is a no. That doesn't work. Power Words Fortify. No material component cost. These temporary hit points can be applied to the goalpost. The goalpost and the ball is considered an ally, enemy, or object, depending on what's most advantageous to you. So again, you have to score damage on the goalpost to score a point, which means if it has temporary hit points, you have to get rid of the temporary hit points first before you can actually damage the goalpost. So you can reduce the damage to 0 or have temporary hit points out sustain the damage that you're dealing. So you're going to want to spend like divine, like a smite spell or a rogue's sneak attack. Damage against the goalpost is really useful because it's going to ramp damage that you might need to overcome temporary hit points that are applied to the goalpost to prevent goals from being scored. You can also cast Sanctuary on the goalpost. You can cast Sanctuary and apply temporary hit points to it and have like bait and switch or like a Monk's Deflection available. There's a lot of things you can do as a goalie to fortify, strengthen, and prevent it from being attacked or taking damage because of temporary hit points, or like damage reduction or immunity to damage. These are things that you can apply. Prismatic Spray. No material costs. Self. Ray, 60-foot cone. Damage. Restrained. And if it fails 3 times, it has a condition until it is freed by an effect like Greater Restoration. The success and failures needn't be consecutive, keeping track. Has the blinded condition. 2 rays. Oh, it has a petrified condition until it is freed. Okay, that permanently takes you out of the game. So, sadly, we're going to X Prismatic Rays. Prismatic Spray. Because of that petrification condition. You could say you just don't petrify people, but again, that's modifying it. Rules as written, it doesn't qualify. Project Image requires gold, equals no. Regenerate is probably fine. Yeah, Regenerate's fine. It has a casting time of 1 minute, so like, why would you take it? But you can. Resurrection. Sure, you can take Resurrection. Reverse Gravity. That's fine. 50 radius centered on the point of the range. All creatures and objects in that area. You'll then hit the ceiling. The ceiling unanchored space is encountered upward fall. Okay, I could just walk out of the cone and fall 50 feet, and I'll be fine. So that's okay. It's technically okay. Sequester's probably going to be a no. Yep, gold value equals no. Simulacrum is a no.
Symbols, I think, is a no. Yeah, because gold value equals no. Teleport, we already know, is a no. Well, technically, the teleport's okay because it can bounce to another part in the field. It can take you out of it, but you still technically stay inside. So we're going to put a question mark next to it. Actually, yeah, it's still allowed. Animal shapes works. You can use it. Cheers. Turn everyone into a platypus. That's cool. Anti-magic field. By spells, other magic effects can't extend beyond the aura. 10-foot emanation. Yeah, that's fine. Anti-magic field, and it doesn't have any cost, so I'm cool with that. Antipathy, sympathy. 1 hour, so that's X. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, you could take it, you just can't cast it. So we'll do that. And then befuddlement. Almost done. Stay on target. Blast the Mind. Takes damage. And can't cast spells or take the magic action. Oof, that sucks, but... The effect can also be ended by a greater restoration spell, heal, or wish. Okay, those you have access to already, so that's fine. We'll leave it in place. Clone is a no. Control weather is Y. Demiplane is a no. Dominate monsters should be okay. Let's look at dominate person real quick. I want to say no, but... What was it, 4th level? Yeah, dominate equals no. Because on the field, it takes away their free will. That's why. Earthquake 8, concentration, 500 foot, no material costs. Hydration, intense tremors. Prone, fail concentration, fissures, structures. I'm okay with that. It's iffy, but it's okay. Glibness. Replace number. Okay, glibness is fine. Holy Aura is a no because of the cost. Incendiary Cloud. That's fine. 20-foot radius sphere. Highly obscured. Deals damage. That's okay. Maze should be fine. You banish a creature that you can see within range into a labyrinthine field. The target takes a steady action to try to escape. So we're going to say no to Maze because it makes you leave the battlefield. Mind Blank might have a cost. Nope, it's good. BS, that's fine. Until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is immune to psychic damage and charmed effect. That's great. We'll go ahead and leave that in place. Power word Stun. It's V only, that's fine. Instantaneous, you overwhelm the mind of one creature you can see. And if the target has 150 hit points or few, it has the stun condition. Otherwise, the speed is 0 until the start of its next turn. The stun target makes a con save at the end of each of its turns in the effect. So that's legal. Sunburst, this is going to be damage. It should be fine. No material cost. Radiant damage and is blinded. That's fine. Telepathy, you can take it. Sure, why not? No material cost. That's fine. Doesn't hurt anything to have it. Tsunami. No material cost. That's fine. Range area is fine. 6 rounds, a wall of water springs into existence at the point you choose. Makes a wall 300 feet long, 300 feet high, and 50 feet thick. The wall lasts for the duration. The wall appears. Each creature in its area makes a strength saving throw. Takes bludgeoning damage. At the start of each of your turn after the wall appears, the wall, along with any creatures in it, moves 50 feet away from you. Any huge or smaller creature inside the wall or whose space the wall enters when it moves must succeed on a strength saving throw or it takes that damage. Creature to damage once per round. At the end of the turn, the wall's length
Height is reduced by 50 feet, and the damage to the wall deals on later round reduced by d10. The wall reaches 0 feet in height. The spell ends. A creature caught in the wall can move by swimming because of the wall weighs water. Okay, that's fine. Astral Projection is a no. Foresight, 1 minute to cast, so that's iffy. Like, you could take it, but why? Gate equals no. Imprisonment equals no. Mass Heal should be fine. Let's check for material component costs. Mass Heal is fine. Last page. See, it doesn't take that long. Meteor Swarm is fine. It's big damage, but it's fine. Power Word Heal should also be fine. Power Word Kill. See, within range to die. If the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it dies. Otherwise, it takes... compel one creature you can see within range to die. If the target has 100 hit points or less. So that automatically kills you at 100 hit points or less. I'm going to say no because there's no save associated with it. Prismatic Wall. If it petrifies, it's going to sadly be a no. Restrained and petrified. So we're going to have to, by rules, we're going to have to say no. Shape Change should be fine. Except it has material component cost, which equals no. Storm of Vengeance. That's fine. Time Stop, we know is okay, but it might have material component cost. No material component cost. Okay, that's good. You can't... Okay, so Time Stop is fun because you get extra turns. If the spell ends, if one of the actions you use during that period or any effect that you create during it affects a creature other than you or an object being warded or carried by someone other than you. So if you have the ball and then you cast Time Stop, you can technically carry the ball with you because you can treat the object, you can treat the ball as an object. And if you're holding it, it's not by someone else. In addition, the spell ends if you move to a place more than 1,000 feet away from the location you started. So you could, if you have the ball, this would allow you to close range with the goalpost, and when you make an attack, that's going to modify another creature or object because the goalpost is not your ally, and or it's an item that you do not control. So that's going to affect it. So if you make an attack roll on Time Stop, that ends the Time Stop effect. So everyone will still have an opportunity to react to you because the act of attacking the goalpost ends the Time Stop effect. Dropping a normal time, they can engage with you and potentially react to, like, say, catch the ball. True Polymorph turns you into a tadpole. Do you get to save each turn? If you turn a creature into an object, it transforms along with whatever else is wearing or carrying into that form. As long as the object size is no larger than the creature size, the creature's statistics become the object, and the creature has no memory of time spent in this form after the spell ends, and it returns to normal. Into a creature, the transformation lasts for the duration or until the target dies or is destroyed. But if you maintain concentration on the spell for the full duration, the spell lasts until dispelled. An unwilling creature makes a saving throw, and if it succeeds, it isn't affected by the spell anymore. But if it fails once, it's permanent. So we're going to say X's. True Polymorph. And then True Resurrection, I think, has a cost. So that equals no. And then Weird. No cost. You try to create illusory tremors in others' minds. Each creature affected in a 30-foot radius. Sphere, center on your point, failed save for psychic damage and is frightened. And a frightened creature makes a wisdom saving throw at the end of each turn, so that's fine. And then Wish has no material component costs. It can do a bunch of stuff, but generally is fine. And in this system, Wish is a 10th level spell, which you get access to at 19th level, costing 10 mana to cast. But hey, we did it. That's the full list of spells that we've curated. So I'm going to copy, create a copy equals yes. Rugby curated list, and then we're gonna have rename rugby allowed spells only. So I'm just going to take a couple moments here to trim out the list of spells that we can't use so we can see what it looks like without stuff in there. We're going to eliminate the question marks anyway. I'm going to hit delete now before I screw something up, and then we're going to continue. I'm just eliminating all these spells so we can see what's actually left as 100% legal spells. Ooh, that's a big stripe. And again, the question mark, the X means no, you cannot use it. The question mark means you could use it, but it doesn't have any practical value for a PvP match. So it's it'd be unnecessary to take. It's like a waste of a space, essentially. So that's why we're eliminating them, because they're wasteful. There, and there. And let's hit delete again so I don't screw anything up. Delete. And then here. There. There and there. 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 Delete. There. All this stuff is available for you to look at. They're all linked on my Discord. My Discord is linked in the description down below. All the color mana books are already published on DMsGuild, which are linked down below. All these things that we're playing with will eventually be published either on DMsGuild, my Patreon, or as a Kickstarter project that we'll place, and then probably publish on like ttrpg and everywhere else, my Patreon, etc. So be welcome to check out my stuff. Everything that I provide is always 100% free preview. You buy my stuff to support me. When I start doing Kickstarter projects, you'll obviously get a copy of whatever it is that we make as a supporting piece, but I'm not going to do anything big and bold. It's just going to be PDFs. Like, here you go, PDFs. Instead of me making the book and then people that like my stuff buying it later, it's going to be support me to build it first, and then like gifts that you can gain is like, you know, private chat and playtesting and all that other cool stuff. Whatever. We'll come up. We aren't there yet, but we're in the works. Oh, god damn it. It happened. I accidentally tapped and I dropped. Damn it. Okay. So let's delete all these. Okay, let's get back to it. I got to do it over again. But we're almost done. We're third level. We're almost done. Lesson learned. I knew it was going to happen eventually. That's why I've been deleting slow, what's the word I'm looking for? Intermittently erasing them, so I don't have an accident like that waste all of my time. Delete. Almost there. Stay on target. You can see as we get lower, like the higher and higher in levels we get, the more often we're banning spells. Lower level spells generally are coming through A-OK. When I run this at conventions, we're gonna start at Pacts West here in Seattle. That's gonna be the first place I'm gonna play test this as like open to the public. Here's some characters. Here's a crash course on the rules. I'll referee you guys. Have fun. And that's a few months away, so I'm taking time to do all this cleanup now to be ready for us building the characters and actually running tournaments at the convention. I'm not going to get a booth or anything. I'm just going to have a duffel bag with all the gear that I need to make these things run. There we go. That's our curated list. Still plenty of spells. I'll be running at I think I'm going to do 6th level in the playtesting I'll be doing at Pacts. That way most classes get get their second subclass. I know the rogue gets shortchanged there, but that's fine. 6th level is good enough for enough mana and enough character options to have a lot of choice making to make. We're going to make 12 athletes, not using the artificer, just the 12 core rules from the player's handbook. We'll build out athletes. We'll give them a set of spells and powers, feats, and kit them out. We'll build all those characters here online. We've just finished our list. We're going to go through the list of powers, and we're going to be creating powers as options for characters to select also as the marshals and halfcasters. So stay tuned on that stuff. We're going to be curating the list of powers that are available and basically going through and like what powers are allowed. It's like when we build like a ranger, we can give them a set of powers and spells, and we'll provide a mana list of all the things that they can do on that character at 6th level, and we'll have those all kitted out for them to make use of. Yeah, so that's it for now. That's what we're doing. It's 1 o'clock. It's almost 1 o'clock. So when we come back next time, we'll continue digging through the blue magic cards. Sorry, I thought I had more time this morning than I actually do. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this like that. Let's drop these spells. But yeah, we made some progress today. I'm really happy with where we're at. And this is just going to continue to get better as we go along. Let's take this and fold it down into here. And then we can close this group. Close that. Close that. Again, anyone that's interested, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. I really appreciate you all hanging out with me. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Raul. Thanks, Mawux. And Steve, I really appreciate you being around. All you guys, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys are interested in this stuff. Anyone that's new to the channel, God bless you. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. And I'll see you guys on Monday. We'll continue doing Spelljammer artwork. Cheers.